Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy pre-Friday. We are almost there. Almost there. Almost to real basketball. Almost to the weekend. It's a great day. Sunshine, blue skies, rain, doesn't matter. We're back. Better than ever. Welcome. Thank you for spending any part of your time with us here on Hoop Spaces, your daily grind of the NBA. Get caught up on the games you missed, the stories you missed, and a good atmosphere. Come up on stage, share your takes, and if they suck, you'll know. We'll laugh. It'll be a good time. A lot of games last night. It was almost like regular season, except some of the games were really bad. 9 games total. So much basketball to get into. Plus, a reschedule from yesterday. Chris Splash is going to be in today. He had something pop up. We rescheduled right away, so we're going to get that Nets talk in. Get your Nets questions ready. 12 o'clock hour. He'll come through. Shout out to the sponsor, slamgoods.com. If you head over to slamgoods.com right now, you can use promo code HoopSpaces, one word, and save 15% off of your purchase site-wide. They're actually getting some kicks in soon, as well as some sweatpants and a new line of jackets. So some stuff to look out for. Again, Slam Goods, Hoop Spaces promo code 15% off. If you missed any of our shows, head over to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, powered by audiolabs.io. We'll get the podcast up, pretty daggone soon. Back in 10. Good morning. All right. Good morning. I'm gonna play some background music this morning. A little bit different. Have a headache, man. Have a headache. I don't like carpooling. That's what happened this morning. I had a carpool take another kid in with my son, and he's in the back seat, and all of a sudden you hear the sound of scratching fingers, and then you smell, a body wash or shampoo that is not yours nor your son's, and it permeates through the entire vehicle. Oh my gosh, it was miserable. All right, 9 games, ladies and gentlemen, last night, a full slate for the end of preseason coming up. A couple of more days. We have Cleveland and Atlanta in a showdown of possibly the two best backcourts in the East. 105-99. Cleveland handling the Atlanta Hawks. Indiana comes back on New York. I thought New York had this one pretty sewn up. 109-100. Benedict Mathurin, man, that kid is going to be good. Philadelphia outlasted Charlotte 99-94. It is now officially woe be gone season for Charlotte. LaMelo Ball going to miss the start of the season 1 to 2 weeks. That team is just going to start out flat. Philly looks pretty good, not going to lie. Good 2-man game that's going to develop between Harden and Embiid. We'll see how they fit Tobias Harrison. Tyrese Maxey needs to be more efficient. We'll get it. Miami handles New Orleans, and of course, the bad news out of that, Zion Williamson nicked up day to day. We'll get more information on that because, of course, we want to see this young man play. And of course, as soon as he got hurt, the toxic Twitter came out and started making fun of his weight again. Had nothing to do with that, y'all. Brooklyn beats Milwaukee, and if you do follow me, 1, thank you. 2, you saw me put out a tweet. I don't want to say it, but Milwaukee doesn't look right. Something's wrong in Milwaukee, and I don't know what exactly it is. Minnesota beats the Lakers 118-113. Twitter went crazy with a video of Pat Bev calling a huddle and Westbrook not being there. We'll get into that. Sacramento beats another team that people are assuming are going to fall off a cliff. 105-104. Kings over Phoenix. Will ask, are the Suns done? We'll ask if the Bucks are done, because you know what? If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a baby goose. The Denver Nuggets beat the Los Angeles Clippers 126-115. Those Nuggets are going to be good. And Golden State fans need to accept that fact. that the Nuggets are going to be good. All right? Like, don't worry about the end of season record. Y'all won without having the best record. Like, if Denver wants to say they're going to get it, let them get it. All right. I'll get the show card up. Like, retweet. If you want, come on up. Raise your hand. We'll bring you up. If you can't come on up, do what TJ just did. Say what's up and good morning to the good people of Hoop Spaces in the chat box down below. Appreciate it. I'll be back in about 15 seconds. Good morning. All right. We got a couple hands up. Let's get into it. We will go in pretty much order of my quick breakdown. We've got your breakdown coming up. So if you are a fan of a team that played last night and you want to be heard, we want to hear you as well because we want your perspective. First up, the game that I did start out with was Cleveland and Atlanta. And to Cleveland's credit, they're ready to start the season. If you watched, Darius Garland was playing 100% defense. He was ready to go. Isaac Okoro, he was ready to go. He had his best offensive outing last night, 7 for 9 for 16 points. Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, though, we talked about it briefly. They're redundant, and it's going to take some time. But they had a similar stat line, except Donovan Mitchell wasn't as efficient shooting, and Darius Garland was definitely the ball. He's the point guard. That is his team. Both had points in the 20s, 24 for Donovan, 23 for Garland. But it was how it was done. Mitchell was on 8 for 26. Garland was 8 for 21. Garland also threw in 12 assists, 3 steals, and a block. Only 3 assists for Donovan Mitchell. They both took 4 free throws. It's going to be a dynamic backcourt. Don't get me wrong. I just worry that if they don't get Evan Mobley healthy and as a centerpiece of this offense, you're going to see a team that's going to remind you of Portland. And I don't know if that's going to be enough to beat the elite teams. Coincidentally, Atlanta, who they did beat, they didn't look that good either. This backcourt of Trae Young and DeJounte Murray is supposed to be a top 5 backcourt in the league when it combined 10 for 36 for 31 points, 10 assists and 2 steals and 9 turnovers. That's just not going to get it done. Clint Capella, all he's going to do is get putbacks and rebounds, 15 boards, 8 points. He did chip in with 4 blocks. I don't know if that's going to be sustainable. And then the 2 wings, John Collins and DeAndre Hunter, they did okay. 15 and 7, 12 and 5, but they're going to need a lot more from them because when you look at the bench doesn't look like it's going to be ready to produce until Bogdanovich comes back healthy. And that's the breakdown for the Cleveland Cavaliers and Atlanta Hawks. I know a lot of us might not have watched it because it was the early game. That's what I'm here for sometimes. And there you go. Some other positive notes from the game. There were a couple of people on the bench for Cleveland that performed well, right? One was G.D. Osman. He had 16 and 7 off the bench. And then the other one was a rookie from this year, drafted out of Virginia, an older rookie, Mamadi Diakite. He's going to probably work his way into the back end of the rotation for Cleveland. So there you go. Anybody got any questions, or if you caught this game and want to make a comment, now's the time. Go ahead, raise the hand, or if anybody on stage is already up here, what do you got? Yep. That's why I'm here. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. You're not going to be able to watch all the games. It's okay. We've got Malika Walker of the Rewind up on stage. We have JF Cake, Heat fan, up on stage. And we have Micah Clark, ladies and gentlemen, MFFL. I wish that they would change that hashtag. We'll say good morning to Malika first, as I'm fairly certain nobody caught this game if you weren't a Hawk or a Cavs fan. We'll bypass this. I do want to know, though, what you thought of potentially the Brooklyn Nets now after you saw them, pretty much take control of that game for the most part. Even Ben Simmons looked good. And I don't think a lot of people like saying that. Malika, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. Yeah, I definitely. I've been watching all of the preseason games for the Nets, and of course, last night, I felt like I felt like things came together. I felt like the team, as a whole, the collective effort, because what I was disgusted by with the previous game when they played Miami was the effort. I felt like the effort wasn't there anywhere. And with this game, it was the complete opposite. They were all, on both ends of the court. Love seeing Ben. He definitely improved, from last game to this game. All of them did, but Ben, defensively, I know that one clip of him, a bully ball from Giannis, is going around, but there are also other clips of Ben actually playing good defense on Giannis. But we know the narrative that people want to portray, and that's okay. That's what the social media is for. But Patty is still struggling with his shot. And hopefully he figures that out. But like overall, like I loved the effort of everyone on the floor on both ends last night. So that's definitely a step in the right direction. The one thing I want to see from the Nets is consistency, defense, rebounding. You know, I want to see collective consistency with not just ISO, because we could do that. Like some of our players could do that, but and it was also a good sign because we're missing three of our shooters right now. Joe Harris, um, we like Seth Curry, and we're missing T.J. Warren, who possibly won't be back to probably mid November, mid to end November. But Royce O'Neal was a great pickup. I'm loving the additions that we have. So yeah, I feel good about my Nets, and we'll see. The season's long, 82 games,
Yep.
um, and we'll see. But
For
last
those
night was a step in the right direction.
Yeah, for those down below who are Nets fans, I'm just going to this real quick and early so we can get it out the way. We're going to hold off most of the Nets talk until the 12 p.m. hour, so that we can have Chris Splash here with us. Was scheduled yesterday, had a quick reschedule. Life happens, and we allow it to happen because you can't stop it. Milwaukee did not look good. We'll get into that a little bit later. We've got JFK up next. I see Chris with sports getting ready to come up. Want to say good morning to the people down below in the chat box. Shout out to TJ. Justin, it's good to see you. EK, Santa Rosa. KP is now up here as well. Lots to get to concerning the Brooklyn Nets. We'll get there. Up next, though, we're going to talk to JFK, who's going to excoriate some of the bad officiating in a game that Miami Heat dominated. But it was kind of, I referees need preseason too. Let's just put it that way. But there were some fouls, man, that were called specifically on Nikola Jovic, the rookie. They were bad. All right. Good morning, JF. How you doing?
Morning, Chris. I know exactly the fouls you're talking about when it was Zion Williamson playing offense, and of course those are going to be given and taken away from Jovic early in his career just because of his body frame compared to Zion Williamson's body frame. It's always going to look like any small movement is a foul just because of how he moves. But here's what I saw from last night, Chris. The Heat went over and dominated this game throughout the whole game. They probably let a couple people. Let a couple runs get by them, which is fine. But I mean, if you really look at it, 25 minutes for Bam, 25 minutes for Hero, both dropped 25 and 23. I mean, if our players don't need to play no 36 to 42 minutes like some of the teams have with their star players in order for us to be efficient. Like we're very efficient just what we have. Another thing that I did see is that our bench is already ready to play. I would argue to say our bench is going to probably be top five before the season starts, just because of how they've been playing. I mean, if you look who's coming off the bench, you got Oladipo, Nandi. You got Nandi coming off the bench. You also got who else? It's a toss up between Duncan Robinson. It looks like Caleb Martin might be starting that fourth position, which he did have a great block on Zion Williamson, and I think that's why he got taken out the game just a little bit earlier. I don't know if his jump is there right now, but for Caleb Martin to get that block on him, then it says something. But you have Hero and Larry starting. So coming off the bench, you got Depot, you got Gabriel Vincent, you got Jovic, you got it can be either Duncan Robinson or Max Strus, doesn't really matter. And you got Dedmon. That's so much spacing within that, within that floor that Oladipo will be able to have, his time to shine whenever he comes off that bench. I think him taking that contract and betting on himself, these are the type of things that you see in situations that happen to make a player have more energy when he's playing compared to somebody, who's already got paid or whatnot. I think Tyler Hero is looking not only to prove himself, but to make a name in this game. And I also think his name has been, thrown around too much in the dirt. He did win Sixth Man of the Year last year, so we kind of have to respect him for that. He is showing off that he has got a lot bigger, a lot older. You can see that he's just maturing right before our eyes. I even see the pimples on the shoulder. It happens. He started off as a 19-year-old on the team, and he's just getting older. Same thing with Nikola Jovic, a young guy, but again, his experience right now against Zion Williamson is what he's going to need. But what I saw happen is that Trey Murphy couldn't even play defense on him, and Nikola Jovic might be that guy to spread a wing defender to the top of the key and make something wide down low easy for Dedmon or somebody else to create an open shot. But a great game. I didn't even think we were going to win that game, to be honest with you, Chris, but it was a full dress rehearsal for the Heat. And we came out here. Nobody really went over 26 minutes, and we still got the W, Chris.
All right. No, you're right. Although I think it does matter. I think Max Strus Strus is preferable for me over Duncan Robinson. That's just my opinion.
Me too,
I think,
Chris. Me too.
Yeah. All right. I 120 is a good number to put up on your last preseason game. It gives the fan base, positive momentum going in. Gives the players a good feeling heading into the weekend. Miami 4-1 to close out the preseason, coming off a high note. We'll get more news on Zion. It looks like it was a small ankle. Trey Murphy had another fantastic game. He played 24 minutes, took 11 shots. 9 of them were threes. He made 4 for 15 points. And he's a shooting guard, y'all. And what's going to end up happening is he and Herb Jones are going to fight for the last remaining starting position in New Orleans, right? Because make no mistake, B.I. is coming in, he's going to start. But Trey Murphy has shown that he, at 6'11", with the range he has, is going to be a dynamic floor spacer that Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson are going to benefit from, maybe even more than the team would benefit from the defensive presence of Herb Jones as a starter, right? As a starter. All right, next
Chris,
up, we're going to go.
My bad, Chris. I got a question.
Yeah.
So is Trey Murphy 6'11" with shoes on?
Nah, bro. He's like 6'10", 5'8" with shoes on.
And he plays the 2 position, right?
He plays the 2 position.
All right, so that's actually a good showing because for us to even understand that he was playing the 2 position and for us to put Jovic on it, it's a good sign. But the last thing I want to say, Chris, if you really look at it, Miami Heat really didn't add anything crazy besides a rookie. So I just want to say shouts out to all the paper champs. It doesn't really get you a championship. You get what I'm saying? Go ahead and play the full season with your team.
Man, it's going to be one ride. I can't wait. All right, up next, we've got KP, the executive hater. KP, good morning. How you doing?
Thank you, Christopher. I appreciate that. Thank you for letting me up to your space. Shout out to I got a comment on Milwaukee Bucks. I know you're going to talk about them later, but I may not be here. The Bucks look very unathletic. I don't know if they just got back, if it was that trip from Abu Dhabi playing the Hawks. I know them trips take a lot out of you flying across the world. So that might be it, but they look very stiff, very unathletic, very unengaged, and their talent level seems like it's taking a dip. And they didn't even trade anybody, if I'm not mistaken. Or who did they added players, if I'm not mistaken. So shout out to them. The Nets ran up and down them like a old rug and your kids. So yeah, that was fun to watch. Can't wait to see if the Nets ever make it out of the second round. And that bugaboo of Ben Simmons not making shots, still there. Them free throws, horrible and terrible, is still there. And that defense, man, it's mad to me for them Nets. They all right. But I want to just say something about these. What's that team? The Fakers or the Frauds or the team that can't get out of their own way? Yo, Lakers fans, relax, take a chill pill, leave me alone, because it's going to be a problem for you guys this year. You guys are in shambles already. Russell Westbrook don't want to be a part of the group photo. I know LeBron like to do, like, he got a handshake for everybody, bro. Russell Westbrook don't got no handshake. He got a little pose he do with everybody. Hey, my brother. Nah, Russell Westbrook is not with the ish. So get your life right, get your team right, then you can come for the champs. Ring day is going to be a very humbling day for you guys. Ring number 5 is loading. It's going to be fun this year. And the Lakers will not get to the second round if they get out of the play-in. So as my title goes, KP was right, ... again. And so I said it, so it shall be done.
So I said it. Oh, my Lord. Yeah, the Lakers are in trouble. Like, I think they're better than a lot of people think, but I don't think their better is really warranting results. And it's the same thing like the Knicks. I think the Knicks are actually better than what people want to give them credit for, even if the record won't reflect it. Like that. And I think that's the problem. We have to understand, and Sean with the W, host of Live from the Mecca with Cedric Shine and Jeff J says, he says progress is not linear, and that's what I'm referring to. All right, good morning for those who are just popping in. Want to give a shout out to everybody who's ever been a part of a Hoop Spaces live, cast here. I appreciate it. We hit 10K together just yesterday. I sat down after I was giving some thanks, and I reflected on it. And I can't believe that there's 10,000 people who will follow somebody who doesn't like French fries and gives you the truth about coleslaw. It is elite, both in health and in taste. But one of the most recent add-ons to our tribe here is Micah, diehard Mavs fan. We'll go to him because he's at a construction site. We'll try to get that out the way. And then we've got Chris with sports, JC on gaming, and Nat. Appreciate everybody. Good morning, Micah.
Hey, Chris, how you doing this morning?
I've got a pounding headache, so that's why I'm going to you. I know you work out in the construction. I'm actually going to turn my volume down a little bit. Go ahead, Matt. Good morning.
Yeah, I didn't catch much. I mean, the only game I was really interested in from yesterday came on at 9:30, and I got to get up at 4:30 in the morning, so wasn't going to catch that. I did look at the Heat a little bit, and hey, I'm going to say I had to revisit something about Tyler Hero. So here's my little cop-out about the discussion we're having recently to upset both fan bases. Not really a gap at all. Not enough of a gap between him and Poole to even debate about it. To me, like, I feel like they have a lot of the same skill set in different ways and pretty much affect their team's ability to win in a lot of the same ways. And but I did look at the score chart from that the Nuggets and the Clippers, and Vlatko Kankar, Slovenian. I think he's going to be somebody that wins a few games for him that you didn't see coming, kind of like Peja did for us back in the day. But yeah, that's basically all I got right now.
All right. Yeah, that was the game I watched this morning. There is no way I was watching that game at 10:30. Sometimes I miss California, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. It's not because of the cost of living. It's not because of the weather. It's because I could watch every game I wanted to without having to sacrifice one of the best things in this planet, and that's sleep. All right,
caffeine, Chris. It's called caffeine.
Bro, I do some caffeine, but like long term, that ain't good for your health, man. Like I can't. I don't know. I can't do that no more. I'm old now. That's what my son told me when I turned 40. Christmas Sports. Good morning. How you doing? We'll get your take. We got JC on Gaming up next. We got our girl Nat getting ready to launch our Benchwarmers program next Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. Put that on the board and get ready for it. Like, you watch First Take. You want to do First Take, we'll come do First Take, and we'll make sure you have a pleasurable experience as you get excoriated because your takes aren't as good as you think they are. Like, give myself a point. I'm not lying. Like, some of y'all, I swear, like, y'all put it out there, and I know you're thinking it's good, and I'm just sitting here like, wow. French fries. All right, Christmas Sports. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, man. Thank you for having me, Chris. It's always a pleasure. But I had to reply to what is that? KP. I gotta speak on him disrespecting my Nets. He's really trying to say that our defense, like Ben defense, was like, man, like, bro, you gotta give props when it's due. Like, you know what I mean?
No, I
Like,
don't.
hate the team. Well, I mean, no matter if you hate the team or not, it's just like, come on, game recognized game, man. Stop the hate.
It's literally in my bio. It says
No,
executive hater
KP's a
there, sir.
hater. Like, and he's proud to be a
Oh,
hater.
okay.
Stop the hate.
I
That would
got
be
to take
stop
your bio.
being me.
Don't fall for
Okay.
pump fakes, bro.
But yeah, I like what I saw. It's nothing to get overhyped about. It's preseason. There are some things that could translate over to the regular season, and they just going to take it game by game. So, like Malika said earlier, so it's a long season. So we just got to keep pushing and let the chips fall where they may.
All right. Yeah, you're gonna love KP. Don't worry. He just grows on you because the hate is real. The hate is real. Like, he's one of the most effective haters on this app. Like, he's really good at what he does. He's almost at my level. Like, I hate so well, y'all can't even tell when I hate. Like, that's how good I hate, man. Like, the hate is hard. KP does it well. All right.
It's a good thing
But,
that he admitted it too.
yeah, that's all we do. We honest up here. JC on Gaming, he's gonna come up here and tell us why the Los Angeles Lakers are done. We need to go ahead and pack them up, put them into the closet, and bring them out next Christmas. Good morning, JC. How you doing?
Shout out to the host, speakers, and listeners. Good morning to everybody. It's IYCDC College, aka JC on Gaming. Quick commercial break. Beerly Hoops is doing a fantasy basketball league this season. Beerly Hoops will give $100 to the winner of the fantasy basketball, and I will also contribute $100 worth of your favorite beer if you win that fantasy league. I don't think that there's a buy-in. Don't quote me. Reach out to Beerly Hoops at Beerly Hoops, and he'll talk more about that later. The Lakers are not done per se. What we saw was preseason Lakers. I never, ever, ever put too much on certain superstars when it comes to preseason, simply because I know they're just going through the motions because they have to. Russ is not here for the bullshit. Patrick Beverly trying to have a team huddle in the game as if it's game 6 of the NBA Finals during a preseason game that nobody gives a shit about. Russ not here for that. Russ does not care for that, and everybody's making it seem like it's bad optics. It's not. It's preseason. Come on, y'all. Like, LeBron didn't score a single point the first preseason game. We didn't make a big deal about it. Why are we making a big deal about Russ going 3 for 7 and not wanting to stand with a group of people that he ultimately thinks he's going to be traded from before February? Another thing, you have to understand the Lakers are going to go 40-42 this season. Darvin Ham got these guys really looking like they're going to space the floor and they're going to do what they need to do best. You're going to see a lot of Iverson set. They're going to steal that directly from the Celtics playbook. They're going to be different Iverson sets being ran. They already run a similar variation. Shout out to Shub for telling me that yesterday. They run a similar variations. There's a lot of good spacing. They just got to make their shots. You know, it is what it is. The sad reality is if the Lakers won every single preseason game, we'd be having another conversation about, oh, it's just preseason, back it up. It's not that big of a deal. But, you know, we're making a big deal about preseason. So I'm not here for that. What I'm here for is to push the nastiest agenda I think I've ever pushed in the history of hoop spaces. Trey Murphy is that guy. Trey Murphy could potentially be the 6th man of the year. If Brandon Ingram does not get his act together, Trey Murphy is going to take his spot and force Brandon Ingram to play the 3 spot. And Trey is going to play the 2 spot. And CJ is going to play the 1. Zion's going to play the 4. And Jonas is going to play the 5. And it's going to be nasty. To see what Trey is doing to the league is amazing. He does not care. He's out there playing like you're my 2K player. He's playing my career out there. He feels he's untradeable. He feels he can mess up as much as he wants because the team believes in him. And I love that for him. I love that for Jose Alvarado. I love that for everybody that is on the Pelicans team that really thinks that they can blossom. The Jackson Hayeses of the group, CJ McCollum, all those guys. Willie Green has got these guys believing that they can make it to the finals next season. If Willie Green believes, I believe. I love player coaches. Somebody mentioned something about the Heat and Pelicans game. Listen, I'm glad that the Heat can score 120 points in a preseason game. I'm so glad for that. I'm so glad Bam Adebayo dropped 25 points, and I hope that he continues to do that for the rest of the season. But let's keep it a bean. You guys got to slow down a little bit. The Heat, you guys do this really weird roller coaster up and down thing that I don't know. You whip people in. It's like a sitcom, right? Like it's like the beginning of the sitcom. We're being introduced to these new folks, and then in the middle of the sitcom, we hate people, and then at the end, it's one big happy. See you guys next season. That's what happens with the Heat. And I'm tired of being on this roller coaster, so I'm going to step off. I don't give a shit about Tyler Herro and this Jordan Poole comparison. I don't like it at all. Jordan Poole has a ring. Tyler Herro doesn't. Tyler Herro also decides when he wants to play basketball. It's like every time Jack Harlow drops a new song, Tyler Herro decides he's going to go 0 for 16 for that entire month from the three-point line. So I'm not really here for it. So if you're a Heat fan and you see Jack Harlow dropping music anytime in March, April, May, June, or July, don't worry. Heat aren't going too far in the playoffs. Not with that guy there. So, Heat fans, you guys are kind of in purgatory because for some reason you guys are good enough to be really, really good in the East, but then you're trash that you can't get to the finals because the other team in the East just stomps a mud hole in your ass. So I just don't get it about you guys. Like, can you guys suck or can you guys be good? Can we figure out which one you guys want to be? And then, you guys are about as fake as Jimmy Butler's hair, man. Like, I don't get you guys at all any of these seasons. So that's my Heat rant for the day. Go Pelicans.
All right. I need a cut for that commercial.
I got you.
Appreciate it. Good run, JC. I saw you hosting a space. Wasn't able to pop in because I didn't have my headphones on. Keep doing what you're doing. You're good. All right. You've heard her before. JF is like rearing to go because JC just landed the Heat. He's just like, I can feel it right now. The way he's holding his phone, looking at the screen, saying, "Come on, Chris. Come on, Chris. You've got to let me go, Chris. Chris, come on." All right, JFK, I'll let you reply. Go.
See, Chris, this is what I'm talking about, paper chance. You see what I'm talking about? How somebody can talk about the Pelicans and this and that, and when they actually look at the game, they don't even want to talk about the game for what it is. Like, you praise so much on the losing team and so bad on the winning team, it makes no sense. And yeah, I understand it's preseason, but at the end of the day, we say that the Heat is so garbage. Dog, they is trash, bro. They is expected to got a phone call. Y'all can hear me? I got a phone call. Hold on, Chris. Hold on.
Yeah, take care of life and come back, JF.
Hold on, Chris. You can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Dog. You see what I'm trying to say?
You lost all momentum,
JC,
bro.
Hold on. JC sent these spammers to call me so my shit gets interrupted, Chris. I'm not standing for that no more, all right, Chris? I put my shit on Do Not Disturb, and that's what's going to happen, all right? Listen, Chris. So I'm talking about these paper chants, bro. We can talk about Trey Murphy and all he done, and we can talk about him getting the Sixth Man of the Year award, but the real sixth man is on the team that beat the Pelicans last night. I mean, we're talking about the team that goes and is always predicted to go six. Man, they mid-team, they average, they whatever. But yet, Game 7 was held in Miami. We was 1-3 ball away from making the finals, and there's not a lot of teams that can say that, Chris. Not a lot. Can the Pelicans say that, Chris? No. Can the 76ers say that, Chris? No. Can the Knicks say that, Chris? No. Can the Nets say that? No. Can the Bucks say that? Maybe if they had Chris Middleton. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, what we got to talk about is the actual truth, all right? Let's just respect the guys.
I'm still trying to figure out why I'm taking the shot with the Sixers over here.
You know why, Chris? $30 million. That's all I got to say. But, getting rid of that player just means that we added on players to make our team a little bit bigger at the sense. I mean, we go from a 6'5" starting four, and now we got at least a 6'7" to 6'11" starting four. So I'll take that progression any day. So let's go ahead and see what they do, the Pelicans, during the season. All right, let's see how high they make it in the West, because they're still Golden State. They're still the Denver Nuggets. And shit, I don't even know if they can beat the Minnesota Timberwolves, and that's my sleeper pick for the West. So I had the Minnesota Timberwolves going higher than the Pelicans this year, and now I'm gonna finish off with that, Chris.
All right, appreciate it. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, and that is what we are here for. That was some entertaining back and forth. Perfect for the setup for the host of Benchwarmers. Starting Tuesday, I will be there. We will be launching it together, but this is the voice that you need to hear when you start thinking about going toe to toe with whom you think is your challenger. That's our girl Reese Rebel 31. That's the handle. Name is Nat. Diehard Celtics fan. So if you are a Celtics fan, where the hell were you last year? Yeah, that's right. Nat was here and you weren't. She was here, prophesying the greatness of Jason Tatum. Where were you? Y'all was probably watching the Boston Celtics win, and we're scared to talk about it. Nat ain't scared, and that's why she's going to host Benchwarmers, which is going to be your debate show here on Twitter Spaces. Nat, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, Chris. Good morning. Yeah, where the hell were y'all, man? Like, I was there, lose or win. I was there. I was there when I was talking about Fire Bradford Stevens. Where the hell were y'all? Y'all got to show up, even if I'll take those L's, man. It's okay. It'll be all right. It's only Twitter. I'm here to basically just not even just talk about the Celtics. I don't even think I'm going to really mention them much, but I got a chance to watch Minnesota with no Gobert, no Cat. Okay. We've heard me, I think, talk about this for 2 years, and yes, I'm going to push my agenda. The Minnesota Timberwolves are going to be good, y'all, because the preseason, I don't give a damn about the stars. Honestly, we know what the hell they're going to do. We know what stars are going to do. That's why they're stars. They don't need preseason. Let's keep that real. So it's a waste of time talking about stars, to be honest with you. I'm looking at the others, and that is why I like this team. The others are stepping up, and you can tell that they're going to have like dogs on that bench. They're going to come out. They're going to score. They're going to rebound. They're going to hustle. They're going to run the floor. That's what you look at with preseason. Who gives a shit about LeBron going 0 for whatever? It's LeBron. He's going to score 25 plus. So what? Who cares about Anthony Davis if he misses some shots? He's going to score 25 plus. Who cares? Look at the rest of the guys that's really going to make a difference. That's what I'm looking at, So I'm high on the Minnesota Timberwolves. I also got a chance to watch Brooklyn and what was it? Was it Giannis and Milwaukee? And Brooklyn, don't let people talk y'all out of being excited about your team, because the takeaway from that is the others. Like, stop letting people live in last year and the year before. If people do that, they're not real basketball fans. So stop doing it. You got to learn how to tune people out, because what I saw was Nick Claxton. He was doing his thing. He looked like he took a big step up, and he's understanding what he can be on the floor. What I saw was Ben Simmons doesn't need to be a three-point shooter like he never needed to be a three-point shooter. He just needs to be on a team of shooters, and he can get them the ball and get them in their spots. That is what you take away from these preseason games. I am also excited about the Brooklyn Nets, okay? I think that they look good, and I think that they'll be better than people want to give them credit for. Milwaukee is Milwaukee. You have, Giannis, but we got to be honest. When we say, this team has this player, what player has been stopping people from getting to the finals consistently, but minus LeBron? Let's just keep that real. Like, when LeBron went on that run, those however many years ago in the East, no other player has done that, especially in the East. So stop it. Just because Milwaukee has Giannis, that means nothing. There are so many good teams in the East that can go to the finals. You're wasting your time saying, well, look at this person. 3 years ago, you were trying to trade Chris Middleton saying he was mid. Now all of a sudden, oh, he's got to play to win chips. This is how you got to stop listening to people because they make no sense. At the end of the day, there are 3 or 4 teams that can go to the finals, and just buckle up because it's going to be a good season. Thanks, Chris.
Absolutely. Just on fire. Make sure you shoot her a follow. Tuesday night, we're going to be there. We're going to get it in. But now, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a question. All right. I've got a simple question for anybody that's in the room, but specifically for the people up on stage. I need to know. Do you know who led the Charlotte Hornets in assists last night? That's what I want to know. That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
D'Angelo Ball.
Anybody else want to give a shot without Googling?
Nah, I can't say who.
He just gave up.
PJ Washington.
Damn. I was gonna say
Mason Plumlee, because I actually watched half the game.
Mason Plumlee.
It's the race for Victor, Chris. It's the race for Victor.
Did you see why I didn't want to say it?
Yeah, it's preseason. This is for the Charlotte Hornets. Everybody just, throw a prayer out there. It was bad. 0 for 5 this year. They played the 76ers last night.
Yeah, it was preseason. 0 for 5. I mean, are we really doing this?
Oh, we are doing this, ladies and gentlemen.
Hold on, Chris. 0 for 5
No.
should be a good thing if we're talking about tanking.
He buried the Hornets in preseason.
This was bad. This was so bad that Joel Embiid was able to get up 17 shots in 23 minutes. That's how bad it was.
Your teammate looks so great, Chris. Let's not even go there.
My team didn't need to look great.
Who was winning 3 quarters in when the starters were pulled out? Let's not do that. The Sixers didn't look good last night. I don't know what all this funeral music is.
See, the funny thing is that's all you can say.
Including the others. I watched half the game and I didn't see like.
So you're saying Montrezl Harrell didn't look good with 14 and 6 and 16 minutes?
Montrezl is going to look good on offense.
Georges Niang, he looked great.
But why were the Hornets leading the game at halftime? That's when I
because they're the Hornets. We just didn't care.
Where were they?
They were watching the Hawks and Cavs game on their phone because it was more entertaining.
Okay, I mean, all right, do your thing. Go ahead and bury. I mean, I think the Hornets are going to be bad this season, but let's not act like your Sixers showed anything last night. That's all I'm saying.
Well, they are undefeated so far in this preseason. They were able to survive. Tobias Harris and PJ Tucker going to combined 0 for 5.
Chris, is it too early to talk about PJ Tucker's knee?
No, I never wanted to sign him. No, that was a bad signing. If we lose, we'll point to that signing. Put it on the board. Tell me I'm wrong.
So you think he's going down just the same way Danny Green went down?
No, because I think Danny Green was healthy and then actually had an injury. I think PJ Tucker was already injured and it's just never going to get better.
What happened with Danny Green? Is he injured out for the year?
He got traded for DeAnthony Melton, one of our others, who last night did exactly what he needed to do. 2 for 6. I'm glad you're happy with 3 assists and 2 steals.
At least the Hornets showed improvement. That's all I could say there. But he was traded. I got to look up where he went because I swear to God I didn't know.
He went to Memphis.
Oh, that's why I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. He went to, and I don't think he's playing. He's still rehabbing. KP, hop in here real quick, and then we're going to go to TJ, ladies and gentlemen. TJ is definitely going to come up here and talk about some team from the southern part of California.
Yeah, Chris, I just had a question about Miami. Because do they give out victim complex tickets and BBLs at the same time? Every Miami Heat fan I've heard, oh my God, we were ranked 7th. Oh my God, Hero got to prove himself. Oh my God, did you see Bam? Oh my God, Eric Spoelstra is underrated. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Be quiet, man.
All right, quick question. What do you say when you drop a pumpkin? Oh my gourd.
Nah, bro.
Nobody? Nobody?
Nah.
What
Let
the
it go.
hell?
Let it go.
You 0 for
That's
1
like
with the dad jokes.
Hey.
that's like LeBron James' hairline. Let it go. Let it
Willie
go.
Hernan Gomez was good in that game last night against the Heat too. He needs to be on a team that doesn't have
You
a
ain't let
center.
them grandpa jokes go, Chris.
Bro, no, I don't think so.
No,
I love him.
That's not a good look, brother.
Hey, look, I don't need to worry about my looks. My son told me I was old. Officially, it's over. TJ, not in his car today, I don't think, but here to talk about the Lakers looking bad once again. To his delight, I'm sure that he was smiling ear to ear to see the much maligned purple and gold go down in flames once again.
You're absolutely correct, Chris. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I am a Warriors fan, in case people don't know. But I got a couple of things. Let's see, Chris. First off, don't talk about Duke players leading in the assists. It doesn't mean anything, especially against the Hornets. And kudos to you for actually go ahead and putting that funeral music and burying it before the season even starts. Lakers. You guys are okay. You guys are better than what I expected. Last season, I said in December that they weren't going to make the playoffs. They weren't even going to make the play-in, and I was right. Sorry about that, KP. I got that one right this time. Second thing is this. You guys have the players that you need to score the points. Just like Nat said, you guys got your stars. Your others, they are boo-boo, garbage, trash. I did see some good stuff from the game, though. Lonnie Walker, that dude was on point. I don't know why you guys don't use him more often. And then you got Pat Bev and that Westbrook thing. That's going to cause a lot of havoc in the backcourt. But the bright spot for me, with you guys losing against the Timberwolves, who has Austin James Rivers on their squad, you guys got to do better. You guys got to do way, way better. Luka Garza getting 15 points off of threes. And talking mess to Floyd Mayweather while he's doing it, that's just crazy. That guy's they got some players over in Minnesota. They're definitely going to be better seated than the Lakers. So you guys just kind of watch the game and just don't talk stuff because you guys aren't going to do much. Thank you.
So the Lakers simultaneously lost to a team whose best player was 2 for 12. Whose second and third best player did not play, whose fourth best player is just coming back and playing, and somehow made Naz Reid look like a $20 million a year center.
Wait,
Naz
Chris.
Reid was nice too.
Wait,
Nice.
Chris. Who's the best player in Minnesota?
Ant. I'm all in on Ant Edwards being the best player on Minnesota.
Is he going to be, or is he right now?
He is right now.
Holy shit!
And we that is projection, my brother.
He is right now.
He's not.
He didn't shoot like it last night, though.
He didn't hit his shots. Like what he's still the best player. The best combination of talent and athleticism.
Nah.
Are we really arguing for Cat right now over Ant?
Has Ant put it together? Like that's my thing though. Like Ant hasn't put it all together. Like he's not.
He
producing.
doesn't need to right now. He's just
So you're saying it off potential
is way.
I mean, like 21, 5, and 4. Like, what do you mean? That's what Tyler Hero did. That's what Jordan.
All right, give me the other numbers. So give me Cat's numbers.
Cat. Let's see. Let me bring it up. Where is he? There you are.
It's
Cat.
way better. But go ahead.
He's a center, so he's going to out rebound him. It's 25, 10, and 4.
All right, so all right, he's a better shooter too. But go ahead.
If being the best, if talent athleticism means you're the best player, then Cam Reddish is the best Nick.
There you go.
He's the best combination of talent and athleticism with production without the bias of having height to get easy rebounds.
Oh God. Okay.
That's a lot of what's the word? Qualifications.
Hey,
that's Chris goalpost.
This is why I put the cape on for Cat, because that don't make no sense. Y'all basing this off potential. He could potentially be the best player, but
He's the best player now.
Oh God!
Right now,
question.
the idea of Anthony Edwards right now is better than
It's the
Anthony
idea,
Edwards.
Sean. There you go. The idea of him. He is Jordan, y'all. That's Kobe right there.
Well, let's be
Jesus
honest.
Christ.
Now I
Has
agree
the
with what
Timberwolves
Sean
ever
just said. Yeah,
got,
100.
has the Timberwolves really gotten anywhere as Cat being the guy? I mean, they really got a lot further, and they're being a lot more progressive with Ant being on the team. That's just facts.
I mean, you add talent to a team that already has talent, it gets better. So that really doesn't say much. So let's take Cat off and just
Okay,
have
so then
that made no sense.
we will never say that Cat is better than Dirk Nowitzki then.
I didn't say all that, man.
Because Cat has had rosters better than Dirk, and Dirk dragged him to a championship.
And Anthony Edwards
produces more than Dirk does.
Anthony Edwards has dragged them to a 7th seed.
Is this
Hey.
a bench warmer's take? Is this a bench warmer's take?
Maybe.
Jesus Christ.
Maybe. It fits right in. Bench warmers on Tuesday night. Next up, you're going to hear Sean with the W, one of the hosts of Live from the Mecca, ladies and gentlemen, and at Knicks Film School. You'll get smarter listening to him speak about the Knicks until he goes full tilt. And it'll just say, get rid of everybody, which will happen probably around game 65 this year. Sean, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. Can you hear me? Is it too loud in the background?
No, we got you good.
Okay, perfect. I want 10 minutes to discuss a particular player. Earlier, you just heard me say the idea of Anthony Edwards is better than the player right now. That also applies to Cam Reddish. The idea of Cam Reddish is far better than who Cam Reddish is. It is over. We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok, led astray. I would like the Cam Hive to come outside if we just want to talk. It's over. The T-Mac comparisons, the Paul George comparisons, it's over. It's done. Like, Cam Reddish I have a tweet in the Jumbotron. Cam Reddish better work on his 3-and-D game, or else he's going to be working on his Mandarin when he plays for Beijing. Because if and I think the problem is like he's talented. There's no issue with, like, when it comes to talent, athleticism, he has it. But he thinks he's better than he is. And he should, honestly, he could be a 3-and-D stud. He could be Desmond Bain. But the problem is he thinks he's better than Desmond Bain. And Desmond Bain's about to get paid. He's about to get paid. But Cam thinks he's last night. Listen, I don't overreact to preseason, but what I saw last night has been consistent with what I've seen of him on this team. He makes one really good play, and you're like, oh my God. And then he just makes 4 or 5 terrible ones. I was off this train, but I need everyone else. Let it go. Please, just let it go. Let it go. He is not who you think he is. He's not. That's all I really wanted to say.
I am pro Cam Reddish. Barkai, what's up? I am.
You're pro the idea of Cam Reddish. That's what you're pro.
He went 3 for 10, 1 for 6 from deep, 3 for 4 from the line, gave you 3 boards, and assist, a steal, and a block.
No, he has flashes. Listen, listen. Ask Bankai. Bankai saw the game. He will make one he was struggling. Then all of a sudden, he got a deflection. He got a steal. He made a good play. He got a bucket, and you're like, oh, he's turning around. And then he just proceeded to piss down his leg. It was
I don't know. I saw it. I know what you're talking about. It was literally almost 2 minutes afterwards. I changed the channel to another game. I was like, this game is over. I feel you. Barkai, hop in here. Nick, Knicks, they look good. Like, they really do, except for apparently Cam Reddish and Evan Fournier. Other than that, I like what you got. What do you think?
Good morning, Chris, Sean, everybody, Malika, KP. Look, like Sean was just saying, Cam is a very interesting case with Cam, right? Like, he's built like the Cam Hive over here in with Knicks fans. Some swear by him. They think he should be the starter by default. I don't agree. I don't dislike Cam. I have no agenda against this kid. In fact, I'd like to see him succeed, but he's just not doing what he's supposed to do in order to succeed, right? Like, he gets injured too often. He plays like he's relaxed out there. Like he's too nonchalant for me, right? Like he'll come down the floor, dribble for like 5-10 seconds, kind of hand the ball off to somebody. If he's not handing it off, he'll put up a terrible shot. His shot selection is all over the place. He's playing at one speed. He's not really playing that hard on defense. And I just don't understand why, because when you're trying to get a rotation spot, especially with Quentin Grimes hurt and Evan Fournier not really showing you much in this preseason, you're supposed to be going all out. You're supposed to be playing hard at all times, not when you pick and choose. And I see that's the problem that Hawk fans kind of had with him as well. Like some overrated him, but some actually did see that, like, okay, he has all the potential, he has all the tools, but he doesn't show it on a consistent basis. Like he'll put up a nice layup here and there, a nice move here and there, and then he'll follow that up with like 3 bricks, a turnover, a bad defense, and I don't understand where his head is at. Like if I was in his spot, I'd be playing my ass off every single minute to show that I deserve to be playing more, not coming out and thinking like, yeah, I'm better than this guy, so I don't really need to play that hard. That's the vibes. That's what he gives me.
That's
You
the
know what I mean?
vibes.
But Bankai, I think you know this already. They asked every kid during the 2019 NBA draft, besides you, who's the best player in this draft. And you know what they all said? Cam Reddish. All of them. Zion, RJ, Garland. They even asked, he wasn't in the draft, but Anthony Edwards is like, yo, Cam Reddish cooked us. Like, this dude has thought he's been better than he is ever since he was 16 years old. And you can see he plays like it. And I just want to say this is all the Hawks fans' fault because they started the freaking hype train with this dude. You remember when he got traded? You remember when he got traded? They had meltdowns in this. They were melting down in this spaces. Oh my God, how can we trade him? Bolu lost his mind. It was like, goodbye, they lost their mind. And now they act like they never said none of that shit. They started all this shit. They did.
I will trade you Furkan Korkmaz or Cam Reddish right now.
Can Furkan Korkmaz stretch the floor?
Yes.
Done.
That's all he does.
You know what?
That's all he does.
Call it into the league.
No, but listen, the thing is too is like some Knicks fans are just defending this kid like he won a championship in 1973 and like he deserves all the glory in the world. Listen, I like I said, if you want to root for him, that's fine. If you want to see him play well, that's fine as well. But like, take the blinders off. You know what I mean? Like Evan Fournier didn't give us anything last night. Hasn't really played well this preseason, like not too well. Quentin Grimes has been out, right? IQ had a bad game last night. Brunson had a bad game last night. But just because they had bad games, it doesn't mean that you can't also point out the fact that Cam had a bad game. You know what I mean? Like people are saying like, well, you're bringing up Cam's bad game, but why don't I see anybody talk about Brunson last night and IQ and Fournier?
Oof,
bro,
IQ that was rough.
Bro, I've seen Knicks fans bring up all 4 of them. All 4 of their bad games. And the thing is, like, people want to put the blindfolds on for Cam Reddish, and I just don't understand why. Like, at least Evan Fournier and Brunson and IQ, they're at least somewhat proven, right? You've seen some of their track of work in years prior. Cam Reddish hasn't proven you anything at all. He had one decent game in the Eastern Conference Finals one time against the Bucks, and it seems like that completely blinds people. Like he hasn't showed you anything apart from that.
It's since college and AAU. We're at a switch of an hour here, so I want to get this read in, and I also want to reset the room. I want to thank everybody for popping in to Hoop Spaces on your pre-Friday. Going over the NBA last night, recapping the preseason action. The preseason is winding down. Several teams already have played their 5th and final game. I want to give some shout-outs down below before we go. Zeke Spoon is in the house. If you love football and you want to grow on Twitter, it's the guy to follow. He connects fans across all platforms. When I say platforms, Spaces, regular Twitter, NFL Twitter, hockey Twitter. So if you want a foray into other sports other than basketball, because that's what I do, shoot him a follow. He'll follow back. I want to give a shout-out to Saint from Nets Kingdom, who last night, I thought I was going to have to wait for a couple weeks, but last night went all homer for Kyrie Irving. Like, all homer for Kyrie Irving last night. I found it absolutely hilarious. Shout out to Jose and Rolo, a dope 77 Spaces. I'm hoping one of them can come up a little bit later to recap. Had a great time listening in to somebody who's following Luka Doncic from his Slovenian days and his pro days from across the seas. And it was a phenomenal discussion on how journalistic cultures different, but also similar. And you've heard me say it. This was somebody who said essentially, do something you're passionate about and good things happen. So if you want to hear it, we'll have the recording put up there. So make sure you shoot them a follow. And we appreciate every single listener who's popped in. If you could do us the favor at the very top, there is a show card. Just give us a like and a retweet. Hop into the chat box down below if you want to be part of the show, but you can't come up here. I want to give a shout out to Danny D and say good morning, and Justin Padden, who's putting away all of his takeaways down there. Make sure you hop in and discourse, right? Talk to him. He's saying for the Nets and Bucks that we'll get to a little bit later when Chris Flash comes in at the 12 o'clock hour. He just confirmed, by the way, the Nets scored over 30 points in the first and third quarter. That is a good sign because one of the things that they struggled with last season was scoring coming out of halftime. All right. We're brought to you by slamgoods.com as our sponsor. And really, if you buy stuff, you might as well buy stuff that helps us. We don't get paid for it, but it gives us the notoriety or publicity or, eyes on that we need. And the cool thing is you're going to buy it anyway. So why don't you buy it there, save some money, use promo code HoopSpaces and save 15%. I will put up the item that I'm looking at in about 5 minutes to let you know some of the things that they have over there. And sorry, I did send an email. They don't know when they're going to get a replacement Tim Duncan Funko Pop. Apparently, Funko Pop is also still having supply chain issues, so they don't have as many to go around. So they're actually cutting back on some of the older players so they can produce stuff that's currently trending and selling because, it's all about money. So head over to slamgoods.com and use code name HoopSpaces. There you go. I've had a lot. And if you missed any, head over to YouTube. We'll get the show up there, but we're going to go ahead and continue now. We've got Micah up here with his hand up. We'll get him. So if you want a hand up, come on, lift it up. We got a couple room for a couple more as I'm getting inundated with messages all of a sudden, like something happened. This is hilarious. All right, Micah, what do you got for us? I need to message a couple people. I'll be back in about 30 seconds.
Man, I just had something real quick. I'd like to take this time to thank the Hawks for overrating Cam Reddish. It ended up with it resulting in us getting a top 5 player. Yes, he is top 5. You don't believe it? Go debate with the wall.
Man, at Cam Reddish, I was pulling for Cam Reddish, like I was pulling for James Wiseman. Like the people that are counted out, always, hope they turn it around. With Cam Reddish, he just hasn't worked it out yet. Feel bad for the kid.
Yo, Malika, that's the thing, though.
He's from Duke.
We're all pulling for him. Like at least like a lot of Nick fans want him to succeed, but he's just not showing it. He's not. It's just, it sucks to see, but like you got to be realistic too, like at the end of the day, we want what's best for the team. And if he's not going to show you that, then you can't extend him. You can't keep him past that if he's going to keep playing like he's been playing lately.
All right, I'm back. We got a little bit of news from Zion Williamson. It's listed as an ankle sprain, but they haven't put a timetable out. All right. Yeah, I feel bad for Cam. I think what ended up happening was like he hit a stunt of development, a combination of practice, play time, and personality is how trainers put it. And when you have the clashes in all three, you tend to not play in a harmonious manner. And that's exactly what it looks like. He'll give you that play, as you said, Bonkai looks real good, but then he'll give you 7 minutes of what the F. Go ahead, Bonkai, finish up. We got Jose up here. I want him to be able to get some time in so he can recap the wonderful 77 Spaces that he and Rolo and Jazz had last night. So get yourself 30 seconds, and then Jose will pick up right after you.
Yeah, yesterday when I was talking about the Bucks and their championship window still being, open in there, I mentioned other teams. I kind of forgot to mention the Celtics. That was my fault. I don't want to disrespect them or anything like that because they're still a good team and they should still be a good team going into this season, regardless of what happened with the coaching and, some injuries, but should still be there,
All right, Jose. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, Chris. I'm doing well. Glad to be here. How about you?
I'm doing well. Just trying to get work done while we're having this great discussion. There's so many games. Like I have one kind of in the background, trying to watch and talk at the same time, and I'm getting distracted.
So, with that work, are you talking about, making some more moves with the Sacramento Kings and possibly trading somebody before the season officially starts? What type
Well,
of work is
what's
that?
funny is I am actually watching the Sacramento Kings and Phoenix Suns, but I am not the GM, nor have I ever worked for, or nor do I work for the Sacramento Kings. I just happened to coincidentally be watching this game because it was a 10 o'clock game, and I live on East Coast time, and I had diverted my attention to the Brooklyn Nets defeat of the Milwaukee Bucks and the Minnesota defeat of the Lakers. I didn't have enough eyes last night, you know.
I don't think that's a coincidence. I seen a movie one time where a detective said they can't believe in coincidence. So, Chris, it's okay. You could admit it to us. Maybe not on a recorded platform, but if you want to send a DM and just give a thumbs up, hey, we got you. So last night we had a great space with Itzhak, who covers the Mavericks. He's from Slovenia. He's been covering Luca since he could even watch Luca play for Real Madrid. And I just love getting other people's perspective. I even asked him a question about, what FIBA rule would you like to see transition into the NBA? And one of the rules that I would like to see, since we're already getting the transition take foul, I would love to see the maybe people being able to take the ball off the rim so we could get a little bit quicker on the transition. People actually going up for the ball instead of just ball watching a lot of times. So that's something I want to see. Uh, he had a little bit of trouble thinking of which rules to bring in from FIBA to the NBA, but I had asked him based off of the Redeem Team documentary and how Coach K was trying to emphasize how we have to play their game. And since the NBA wants to be global, like FIBA basketball, maybe we could start seeing more of that crisscross between plays instead of, the NBA plays only one specific way, and then when you go to compete in the Olympics, you have to play it their way. I would like to see some more uh, cross rules right there. But also, Rolo and Rolo did a fantastic job hosting the space of, getting his talk on the show. I didn't even know we could get his talk on, and Rolo made it happen. So I appreciate Rolo for being able to make some of these interviews happen because without Rolo, I don't know if 77 Spaces would be a thing. I appreciate all the support we get as well, and I appreciate just people constantly showing up to hoop spaces because without Chris, I say this a lot, that without Chris, I don't know if hoop spaces would exist. Uh, Chris has taken the basketball platform and has made it a daily routine in most of our lives, and we're here talking 3 hours or listening 3 hours straight of basketball around the NBA and maybe even with the women NBA and maybe even FIBA. So I appreciate Chris and all he does. And go to Slam Goods and purchase you a little something. It ain't got to be the highest thing there. Buy you a Kobe or relive LeBron James getting drafted. I seen that magazine there, and I'm thinking about purchasing it. But Chris, what else do you have planned? Like, you still releasing some of the articles for the teams around the NBA?
Yeah, I got the Western Conference. I'll load up on the weekend. I picked up a couple of shifts for a couple of caterers so I can make some extra money. And then I have the top 7 MVPs. I've got a breakdown on the argument for why they could win. And I'll have that up probably the opening night for the NBA.
Already. One thing I would like, well, two things actually. Sorry, Chris. Ben Simmons, I like what I'm seeing from him. Like, I don't really care if he's an offensive threat or not. With that dude's wingspan, his height, his ability to drive and be able to see the open man, that's what I love about Ben Simmons. I mean, Patrick Beverly said this over the offseason. He said everybody isn't going to be KD, or I can't remember the exact player he referenced to, but he said you got to know your role, and that's the role that you have. Even Spencer Dinwiddie in his interview with Theo Pinson, he said, like, we know this is Luca's team, and I just have to be able to contribute to that. I'm not Luca, and sometimes some players in the NBA have a hard time accepting those roles because they think it's a knock to them. And something I want to say about Cam Reddish is he's 23 years old, and for wings in the NBA, their development stops maybe around 28. So he has 5 years, and maybe not to Knicks fans, maybe to some fans who've been able to watch his game a little bit more than I have, but he has time to prove himself, and the Knicks are in no position to win for or compete for a championship. So y'all still got to give him time. I mean, Josh Green, he's 21 years old, and he's still got a lot to contribute to the Mavericks. We just have to see it progress over the season. And that's pretty much all I had to say, Chris. I appreciate you for bringing it up.
Absolutely. I like I have said many times before. uh, what we were trying to do was build a place where everybody could come in and have equitable say, as long as we kept like 3 basic principles in mind, that we treat everybody like human beings because we are human beings, that we allow everybody to have their ability to say what they want to say, which means decorum in some instance. You didn't interrupt me. I'm not interrupting you. It's an honor thing. It's an honor system. It's something that we've been taught as kids through school or through home. And then the other one is a share and a passion. That is something that is void in today's current media structure, covering all sports. Like there's been a proliferation of what would have been called shock media. If you are a certain age, you remember how news broadcasts were really more about news around the country, and now it's specifically centered around what are essentially emotionally enticing events, right? And then they package it in bells and whistles to make more people believe it's either more important or as important, and you kind of lose perspective. And what you've proven with 77 Spaces is that every day you do it, it gets bigger, right? I mean, I remember the first one you guys did. You had like 6 people, right? Now look at you. You just had a journalist from across the country, right? Like, how dope is that, man? Thank you.
It's really dope, and again, um, got to give a lot of respect and admiration to Rolo because he reached out to Talk and he asked him to come on, and Talk agreed, and him being 7 hours ahead, I believe we have to get him at a really great time, which was 5 o'clock Central Time. And just to even make that happen, so I had to move some things in my schedule, but that's where work comes in. Like, if you care about this, you gonna move shit around. You gonna get to it. Can't can't blame everybody else. Sometimes you just gotta do it yourself. But that's what this platform has helped me do shit on my for myself with other people and working towards a great relationship.
Yeah, and it all started based off of a shared passion of basketball, right? That's all. Um, get a good reset. We're 15 minutes in. We are confirmed for Christian Winfield, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be here at the 12 o'clock hour to talk all things Nets. For part of the reset, though, I need to go ahead and get some of these scores back out there. Cleveland beat Atlanta 105-99. Philadelphia beat Charlotte 99-94. The Pacers come back and beat the Knicks 109-100. The Miami Heat defeated the New Orleans Pelicans 120-103. The Brooklyn Nets beat the Milwaukee Bucks 107-97, 118-113. The Timberwolves over the Lakers. And I'm going to go into a little bit more on that in a minute. Then we'll talk about Sacramento's victory over the Phoenix Suns 105-104. And then the most exciting game, the game that I actually watched when I first woke up, Denver and the Clippers. Man, they played fast, loose, and sloppy, and it was entertaining. I'm telling you, very entertaining. All right. One thing that exploded, and when I mean exploded, it exploded, was the video of Pat Bev calling a mini huddle and Russell Westbrook not in the picture until the last second, and then he's standoffish. There's another video of Russ not participating in the pregame rituals and throwing a towel at an assistant coach. All right. I want you, if you are so anti-Russ on this, to just go down the YouTube rabbit hole and watch what Russ does pregame, because he really hasn't been the rah-rah team pregame guy for a long time now. Like, he had stopped doing that basically after Kevin Durant left Oklahoma City, right? And he still does stuff with his teammates, but he is trying to get him in his best mental state to go ahead and compete. And oftentimes, he's just amping himself up. Like, Steph does this away from the team, and then he does his sprint and his leg kicks, and then he returns to the team. We're just now upset because Russ isn't returning to the team, or we're upset because outside of the frame of video, he was actually conversing with the ref, going back and forth on a call he thought the ref got wrong, more than likely, getting further explanation, and then walked over. But by the time he walked over, they were done talking. Anthony Davis had already moved away, going towards him. Now, was that because he wasn't there? Probably, but who cares? It's preseason on this aspect. The other thing is, Pat Bev does this all the time. Like, Russell Westbrook doesn't feel that he needs to always do this if he's a seasoned vet in a preseason game. And I'm cool with that because he's been here before. Everybody's different. And the thing that happened was that everybody took it as a basic perception of Russ is out of there. He wants nothing to do with it. And to be honest, that there could be truth in that, but it doesn't matter. He still showed up to play. And if you looked last year, he showed up every day to play until they finally told him stop showing up to play. Right. So are we really mad at Russ? Or are we really just starting to see what is like negative groupthink? That's the question that I have. Bonkai, your hand is up. We'll go to you.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't look too much into it. I feel like those are just people trying to get a video and trying to get likes and retweets out of it because it gets a reaction from, a lot of NBA Twitter. Russ, to be honest, I think I've always seen him as a very professional basketball player, and I think he's going to continue to be a very professional basketball player. Like you say, he's going to keep playing. He's going to keep showing up to practices. He's going to keep showing up to games. He's going to keep trying to play as hard as he can. Sure, he'll have his mistakes and bad shots and all that stuff, but I will never really question the guy's professionalism. Even if Patrick Beverly is still there and they've had a bad history together, I still think he's going to do whatever he can to try to make it work until the Lakers say, you know what, we're done and, we're trading you or don't show up anymore. But these type of videos, sometimes they always get all the attention and it's really for likes and retweets and stuff like that at times.
Yeah, and you get a lot of that in New York too. So, I mean,
yeah.
yeah, it's not like you're not speaking from understanding and experience. I mean, you're still dealing with Julius Randle, and that actually brings up a good question that we'll ask later after this quick discussion with Russ about Obi Toppin. Because he's been playing well, and we'll get into that. Malika, JF, Micah, do you want to add in anything before Wes gets in here? Because I think Wes has something he wants to add in about the Russ discussion.
Russell Westbrook, I don't know, like, it's even hit TMZ. Like, it's on the TMZ timeline too. I just think that in our world of clickbait, and people wanting clicks, they're going to take the most incendiary or the most controversial thing that happens in a game, and it's going to be plastered everywhere because they want clicks, they want eyes on it for advertisers. I mean, let's be real of what this is. So yeah, why Russ is known for this, he's also known, him and Pat Bev, for having the beef. It's been advertised, some of the statements that were made in the media days last year when the Lakers ended their season, the standoffness in the offseason, them trying to trade him. And then you get this event in the preseason game. Yeah, it's going to be broadcast and it's going to be all over the place and you're going to have everybody talking about it. I mean, I wouldn't look any more into it. I mean, two teammates that don't like each other, even if they don't like each other, can coexist. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's going to be advertised that way because people need clicks. So that's all I have on that right now.
Yeah, people need clicks. Apparently, that's how life works. We went from people needing something else.
That's social media. I mean, that's how it is. I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't look too deep. Like some of the stuff that pops up on the timeline, some stuff, yeah, there's something there. With other stuff, like it's being blown out of proportion and it's really not that deep. But it's hard to tell the two sometimes.
All right, JF, Michael, you want to add anything?
Yeah, Chris, I just want to say, Russell needs to just, people need to understand Russell's just doing what Marshawn is. He's showing up so he won't get fined. You know what I'm saying? The man's still coming to work, like Malika said, still doing what he got to do. I think he will be more prosperous on a different team for sure. I just think the Lakers weren't a good fit, but that doesn't make Russ a bad player because even for him to go to Wizards and make it to the playoffs, you got to at least give that man credit for something. Like he does what he needs to do on the court. He's actually a guy that I wouldn't mind on the Heat if we are able to make it work. But if we don't, then I'll still want to see that man succeed. I just want to say the last couple of things. Shouts out to the Heat. I think they're going to be doing good this season, especially we might have the top 5 benches in the league again this season. So shouts out to that, and hopefully that $30 million needs all right, Chris.
Yep, never change, JF. Never change. Yeah, top 5 bench is hard for me. Dwayne Dedman's your backup pick.
I mean, we got Omer Yurtseven. I'm not saying he's the greatest, but if you look at like the other collective pieces, Chris, like you can definitely give an argument for that. I mean, you're going to definitely have Oladipo and at least Drews coming off the bench. That's worthwhile.
All right, no, I'm not saying the bad. I like your pro Heat propaganda. It's dope. All right, Micah, you got anything you want to add in here before I get to Wes? Because Wes is going to talk some hoops and music.
Yeah, as far as Russ, I think he's a great. Okay, let's not say great. Let's not go that far. Let's just say he's a really good player that's in that stage of his career that should accept a role that he's not willing to accept at this point. Like, to me, I think he would be great if he was leading a second unit, and just being able to set people up, still, just be Russ. But I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know if he could either take the Carmelo route or he could take the AI route. It's just to be seen.
All right, we're gonna find you a pair of headphones that does a better job with the noise reduction. Like you get that high pitch, and the high pitch comes through.
Give me a recommendation on some
Yeah. Oh
headphones.
no. Like I said, we're gonna figure it out. Like I'm not tech savvy, but I think Wes might be. We'll help you out, Mike.
Right on.
Wes is up here, ladies and gentlemen. He talks hoops and he makes music. Dude just put out. I think it was earlier this year because I remember when you came through. Some music. My question before you get into this Russ thing is very simple. Why was it all downhill after Thriller? And then we can talk about Russell Westbrook as well.
Good morning. I appreciate the introduction. Not sure how to respond to the why was it all downhill after Thriller question. I'm gonna leave that for someone with more expertise.
Good
But
job. Good answer.
definitely,
Give him a point.
we definitely talk hoops. My only thing with the Russ situation, I think um good points were made, especially like with people wanting clicks, but more than anything, from just me watching the team and like watching the fan base, more importantly, it's more about the fan base, the portion of the fan base that just doesn't want him here. So they'll make anything a big deal, like anything, and bring light to negativity more often than not. Like it's not about um, building a team. It's not about camaraderie with them. It's not about actually adding in context to these clips. They take small portions of clips that look bad, circulate it, and make sure that they're pushing their propaganda and their agenda that Russ is not a team guy. Russ is not this. Russ is not that. He shouldn't be here. He doesn't want to be here. The team doesn't want him here. Everybody should just move on. And that's, to me, more than anything, what it's really about. Um, I think that a lot is made about nothing, especially with preseason. Literally have never, and granted, I'm only 23 years old, but I've never ever seen a player that's scrutinized for preseason, bro. Especially in a game where it's like, if people watch the game, like, and pay attention to the actual product, which is what matters, not a pregame huddle or him talking to a ref while Pat Bev is trying to get a huddle in on the court real quick. Um, yeah, he was doing what he was asked to do. Like last guy said something about accepting a new role. Last night, Russ was playing with 5 other guards. They had a 6 guard rotation last night. Russ had to defer to Pat Bev pick and rolls. And he did it with no issues, no qualms, like in a sense, and um, only got up 3 shots. That's never been a thing for him in 25 minutes. But he's doing what's asked of him. He's playing defense. Yes, he'll get lost. But if I play 25 minutes and I have 4 bad defensive possessions out of 25 minutes, I would say I play solid defense. Everybody has a bad possession on defense. He's not, no one's ever mistaken him to be one of the top 10 defenders in the league, anything like that. You just want to see effort. You want to see a commitment. And thus far in preseason, he's shown that. And it's just weird. There's a lot of weird negative energy being sent his way, but that's kind of how the cookie crumbles sometimes. So I get it.
All right. Yeah, no, well said, man. Definitely appreciate the point of view. Gives you a point. And I think you did nail something. Like he played for the starters the same amount of minutes, produced forth the same amount of effort, but he did so not playing the same game he's used to playing. Take it, and I said it multiple times. Edwin Garcia down below, E creates 88's the handle writer for LakersTakes.com. Like I said, he needs to shoot more. The defense sagged so bad off of him, I thought the pants was going to fall down. Like it was embarrassing. Like, and it wasn't that he can't make these shots. He's made them in the past. It was the fact that they knew he wasn't going to shoot because these players have seen Russ play so much. They know when he's going to shoot. He wasn't anywhere near his shooting motion. So they took like an additional step back, and they're not going to swing him the ball. And, there you go. We'll go next to Schoolboy Jay. What's up, man? Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Hey, how's everybody going?
What's up?
Oh, I said, how's everybody doing?
Oh, we're doing good, man. Right now, we're talking real quick about Russell Westbrook, how, some of on social media and the media are seeing one thing and how we might be seeing something different.
Yeah, I see that too. There's a lot of the media just making him a bad person, and that's not right because it's all about team, and I don't see this team going that far because none of them can shoot like that. So that's just my thing.
All right, appreciate it. Up next, we're going to go to Bakari. Bakari, what's up, man? I hope you are on fall break and not stinking this in class.
Bruh, like my class starts at like 1. Calm
All
down,
right.
bruh.
Hey, look, man, I'm trying to make sure that you are doing right in life, sir.
I am doing fantastic. I'm ecstatic right now. I'm doing really well. But thank you
Good.
for your concerns. I like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's bigger than basketball, man. It's bigger than Twitter Spaces.
There you go. Got to lead the younger generations in the right direction.
All right. So are we still on the Russ topic, or are we gonna move on?
If you got something for us, go ahead. If you want to add in on any of the games last night, go ahead. We're about 30 minutes out from Chris Splash. He might pop in a little bit early, and then we'll get into some deep dive of the Nets and what they're going to do this year.
I mean, all I really got, I don't really care much about the Lakers. They're not gonna do well. They are. Hopefully, they get past the first round. That's gonna be a big test, For us, I mean, I think it's just that's just how he is, He's always been not a stubborn person, but he hasn't changed his game whatsoever in the past 6-7 seasons. And that caused many turmoils from his former teammates such as Kevin Durant in 2016 and James Harden in 2020, and obviously like this past season he kind of got lumped into a bad situation. It was made out to be the scapegoat of a dysfunctional locker room, a dysfunctional organization, and that's not his fault. Not all this blame this past season was his fault, and now coming into this season, he's been placed in a little bit better situation. I would say it's not as bad as before. There's some younger guys like Lonnie Walker who I'm really rooting for. I think he's a great addition to this organization. Hopefully Russell Westbrook doesn't get traded, because if he does get traded, that's the end of his career. They're just gonna buy out his contract. Let's say the Indiana Pacers are just gonna buy out his contract, because why would they want him to be with Tyrese Halliburton and the young players? There's no point. They'll just buy out his contract, and if he gets traded, any team that he gets traded to will most likely either not play him or buy out his contract. So if he's the best situation, the best thing for him is just to wait it out and hopefully ball out, and then get like a pretty good contract, get like a 2-year deal, like something like that, just to prolong his career. That's all I really gotta say.
All right. I remember when people said he was done when he was traded to the Wizards, and then I remember he brought the Wizards all the way back from the dead to the playoffs. That happened. It happened. You can't lie to yourself. It happened. And now, the year after he played the most games, had to be told to sit down so he wouldn't play all 82. Led the team in every measurable category, but one was second in scoring, and led in the most important category in availability, and yet he's the problem. We got Edwin Garcia of LakersTakes.com who's going to go a little bit deep into it, but I want to give Sean 60 seconds to make sure that he can get his little thing in, because I want to give Edwin as much time as he wants. 12 o'clock locked in for Chris Splash talking Nets. Thank you, everybody. Sean, go ahead.
I'll just say really quickly. I think the issue with the Russ discussion is that the Russ high. I'm not saying you're part of it. The Russ high constantly moves the goalpost for him. It's never his fault. It's never his fault. It's never his fault. It's my team isn't good enough. That's why he should be the MVP. And now it's like he took the Wizards to the playoffs. Like you're telling me he's him, but now the goal is, hey, he got this team to the 8th seed. Like, at what point do we recognize that a lot of Russ's issues are self-inflicted and that he's literally staring at the end of his career in the face and has doing nothing about it? At what point does that happen?
Oh, I'm with you 100%.
If he can call Carmelo Anthony, ask him about how that went.
Yeah, no, he's done it to himself. The moment he decided not to learn how to take an open freaking three as an off-ball guard and make it at 37%, league average. That was his decision to be hyper-focused on being a physically dominant guard. Like that, there's no way you can deny that. I just want to say that it's so one-sided that I think there's a lot of harp on him that kind of goes both ways because he went to a team who said, "Oh, we don't need him to change," so like they enabled it, and like we can get into the discussion of enabling and toxic relationships if you want, but like you can't be mad at the person in question if you bring that person in question and then tell the person in question, "Be yourself." Like, then you got to live with him being yourself, but then everybody's like, you can't be yourself. Make it make sense, Edwin.
I'm tired. I'm tired, Chris. Yeah, I think the long story short is, regardless of Russ's ability, the Lakers should have found a way to move him because everyone knows this didn't work. We all saw it last year. It didn't work on the court. It didn't work with the roster construction. It didn't work with the coach. So they made roster changes. They made coaching changes. They did not change the other thing they needed to change, which was Russ. Regardless if Russ goes to, I don't know, Sacramento and is an all-star, that wouldn't make me think. Nothing Russ will do in his next stop is going to make me think the Lakers shouldn't have moved him. It's time. It's not working. You can tell that, he said it before, you don't have to like the people you work with and stuff, and that's true. But at that point, if you know your worker doesn't like being there and wants to leave, you should probably, part of being a good boss and a good owner is knowing, hey, you don't want to be here. We kind of don't want you here. Let's find a common ground so we can both be happy, right? We can have a new situation and you can have a new situation and we can move forward positively, even if it didn't work out. It doesn't have to be hard feelings. They failed to do that for this, that, and the other. Didn't want to sacrifice this. It's only a year. I understand that. But that's why the whole Darvin Ham saying, "Oh, I'm going to figure out how to make this work." It was always going to be a long shot because we saw how bad it was and we see Russ's attitude. I'm not concerned about anything I saw because I've seen Russ my whole career, my whole life. I've seen him refuse in playoff, post media, refuse to answer questions, say next question. That's part of Russ being Russ. That's part of why not. That's part of his abrasive personality. People are making it out to seem like, oh, look, like they're falling apart in the preseason. I'm like, that's Russ every day. Like, I don't think like that's Russ. They could be on a winning streak and he'll be pouting about something because he's pissed off, or that's his energy. But he always gives 100%. Like I said yesterday, even if it's not the 100 the way you want, I'm never gonna question. I've never seen Russ dogging it, phoning it in on the court. He might have a bad attitude. He might be expressive off the court, but on the court, you can't watch a play and say, look, wide open LeBron, he refused, and this and that. That's not the issue. It's an issue of he's aging a little bit. He doesn't have the explosiveness he has. It's especially hard for small guards. Russ used to be a force of nature because he was just so strong, so big, so fast. He could finish at the rim against anybody. And now that's losing just half a step means that's not always true. And now that explosion is not there as much. He's getting blocked. He has to settle for tough mid-range jumpers, and we've all seen the clips of how that looks. That's what's happening. He's slowly slowing down and aging, and because he's not 6'8", 6'9", he's not able to make up with that unless he works on other parts of his game, like you mentioned, which we've seen he has it, and he just continues to insist, I just need to keep doing what I need to do. And I'm like, well, what happens when you can't do what you used to be able to do at the same level? And at the NBA, taking even a notch down, that's a huge drop off because of, like I said, his height issues and just the talent of the NBA. Everyone's, coming after you anyway. So if you dip a little, unless you're LeBron James, it's hard to fade away. That's why so many players burn out. And he has to decide, is he going to make those adjustments, try to fade away, or will he burn out? Which, it's fine. He had a great career. Those are the decisions he has to make, whether he plays here or anywhere else, because he'll still have those same issues unless he goes to a bottom team where they say, hey, we don't care. Get 30, we win or we lose. It's fine. It's just for a year. As far as Laker Nation, what happened yesterday, it's such a Laker thing. How could yesterday's, preseason loss by like 5 points be like the end of the world? But the reason is, as some people have mentioned, including Wes, a lot of Laker Nation, not myself, but a lot of Laker fans don't want him here regardless. They don't like it. So it's like, your parents broke up and then the dad came back, but the tension's still there. It's like we're one more argument away from being back to someone leaves. Like we're already at DEFCON 5, which is why a preseason game's getting this kind of analysis and TMZ's reporting. Like, what happened yesterday? What was the big deal? He didn't come over fast enough to talk to Patrick Beverly, and he was off to the side during a huddle. Like, that was the reason they lost the preseason game. I thought it was the rebounding that was the reason they lost, and the fact they went 1 for 59 from 3. I thought that was the reason they lost. But apparently it was Russ not dapping Patrick Beverly 3 seconds early. That was the huge issue. So it's just a lot. And like I said, a lot of Lakers Nation, the minute they lose 2 or 3 games, they're after Russ's head because they didn't want him back anyway. And they're looking for a reason to say, see, this is why you shouldn't have came back.
Man, I like it. Everybody give Edwin here a round of applause. I thought it was because he didn't warm up and do pre-game introductions. I thought that's why the Lakers lost. Like, honestly. The fact he wasn't over there fake jumping up and down for a preseason game, I thought, you know what? No chance the Lakers will win this game. Like, 0. JF, go ahead.
Yeah, Chris. My question is, how come everybody's such a hard pass on Russ? You know what I'm saying? And we all see what he can do. Like, the man shows up, and he's rarely any injury to him. But we get so much passes for somebody like Ben Simmons. You get what I'm saying? Somebody who hasn't showed up for a whole year. You know what I'm saying? Still gets paid from a team that he didn't even play for. After the game, he only scored 5 points in the playoffs. Like, we got to go ahead and stop moving the goalposts when it comes to forgiveness and giving people a pass or whatnot. Like, obviously, Russ stepped into a bad situation with the Lakers. There was no continuity besides somebody like Anthony Davis, who, again, still somebody we give a pass to for being injured. Like, I don't understand what it is. And I'm pretty sure Russ can definitely find a different team where he can.
See, and he had said that he had put his phone on Do Not Disturb. Hate to see it. You hate to see it, man. Wes, hop in here. Save JF. He'll probably come in like 10 seconds.
Oh no, I just had a question about to Sean and Edwin, if he wants to chime in, and anyone up here. From watching last night's game, only speaking on last night's game, or we can speak on the entire preseason. We've seen Russ play 3 games. What have you not seen in terms of an adjustment in his game? Like, what are you not seeing that you feel like you need to see as an adjustment? Because from my vantage point, he's making the necessary adjustments. The success is a different conversation. But when people get up here and say, oh, he's still unwilling to adjust, he's not changing his game, I don't see that. So I would like to know what is it that he's not changing that still needs to be changed? Again, the success is a whole different conversation, totally different conversation. But he's changed his game from my vantage point. So I just want to get other perspectives because that's something that Sean spoke on earlier.
All right. Edwin, Sean, go ahead. He called both of y'all out. Whoever wants to take it first. I already have my answer. It's going to be boring.
I'll defer to Edwin.
All right.
All right, so I kind of agree with you actually, Wes. I think for the most part he has made, at least in the preseason, he's made some of the changes. I still feel like he gets lost on defense a little or gets a little disinterested. Again, moments here, moments there. It's not the majority like it was last season. So I think that's more of people are on the lookout for those things from last year versus this year. I think so far the Russ we've gotten this year, I say, okay, sign me up in terms of I don't think I'm going to get, you're not going to go from these are your weaknesses to these are your strengths instantly. And especially as an older player with habits, right? You've developed all these habits. It's hard to just switch it up. So I don't think he's going to be. It's tough. It's basically kind of like the Carmelo Anthony thing, which is I think a perfect example. It's how can you become the kind of player we need you to be in time for when we need you to be that. And I think he's trying. It looks like he's trying, but it would probably take years in the process of really getting into a new role and no longer being, that top guy. And I think that's the disconnect right now. He doesn't see it that way. He sees himself as I'm still, 2016 me. And I think he's not, and that's okay. But he has to understand that because if he doesn't, that's where the problems come in. That's where me and Chris, defer. I don't want him shooting as many threes. Chris does. And it's like, it feels like if you ask 5 different people about Russ, there's 5 different criticisms and 5 different angles on how to do it. And that's also the problem because we're all trying to figure out, it's kind of like trying to build a deck or something. You're like, oh, I have this and I'm missing that. And it's like, I'm trying to optimize it. It's so hard. And it's so hard because, he's a very unique player. And when some of that athleticism is going away, but some of the attitude is still there, it's kind of tough to figure out how to optimize Russ. And that's why that's been the main point. And that's the point every Lakers head coach candidate was asked about extensively. How can you optimize Russ? Because it feels like a unique puzzle and hard to do while still being successful at a goal of winning a championship.
Yeah, he never learned how to shoot a consistent corner 3. There you go. I told you it was going to be a boring answer.
But the funny thing is, Chris, that's my answer. Like he never like for me, it's not about the preseason because listen, full transparency, I haven't seen him play 1 second of preseason. But I'm not going to overreact to preseason. I'm looking at it from a macro level of like the last couple of years. It's like, listen, people have been telling him for years he needs to embrace playing off the ball. It needs to try to be a league average 3-point shooter. And he said, no, I don't need to. And that's why we are where we are. So like he may be trying now, but to the point that Edwin just made, that's gonna take years, and he doesn't have years. So that's for me the thing with Russ is like it shouldn't have came to this point. Like if he had just embraced like okay, and that's I think the frustrating part about it is like since Russ is so stubborn and he puts his mind to things that like he wants to achieve something, he gets really good at it. If he had decided I'm going to become a better 3-point shooter, he probably would have become it. But he didn't want to. He wanted to play the way he played because that's what got him into the league. And unfortunately, it looks like that's going to get him out of the league.
Only 4% of his 3-point attempts last season came from the corner.
That's insane.
Like he just never learned to shoot a corner 3. Like that's it. If he had started adding a corner 3 years ago, just like Patrick Beverly added a 3-point shot 3 years ago to 33%, just 1 out of 3, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Reggie Jackson added a corner, like improved 3-point shooting because he would have been out of the league. Like it's just frustrating when listen. Like Robert De Niro says in the Bronx Tale, the saddest thing in the world is wasted talent. And Russ is talented as hell, but the things he needed to do to prolong his career, like I said, the funny thing is, I'm pretty sure at some point him and Carmelo Anthony had to have had a conversation last year. And if they didn't, that's troubling.
4% of his threes from last season. And he didn't take that many. Don't get me wrong, but 4%, it's a percentage number. It doesn't matter the amount; it matters the percentage. It's just there you go. And it sucks because if you saw what he did last year and you adjust for the shots that he didn't take, he produced the same career stat line. So like he can still produce, but like everybody understands, it's he can't produce for the Lakers because he and LeBron James play the same position. There you go.
And I will give
Yeah, and that's
real quick, Edwin, and to what Edwin said earlier, and I think JFK said it earlier. The Lakers situation not on Russ. I don't know why, and Chris, we said this at the time. Why they thought bringing Russ to that situation, and to your point, asking him to not change anything, why they thought that was going to work.
Yeah, I think the changing. Yes, obviously, I'm sure I don't need to be an insider to know if we could go back in time, they would have never made this trade, right? I think we all know that. I think that the issue was, and that was the Lakers' problem when they got him. And then fans do this all the time, right? Oh, we got player X, and they're a good 3-point shooter. If they can just get a little better at defense, they can stay on the. You always start to paint that if this, let me take their best attributes and improve their worst ones. And now I got the player I really wanted, right? And I think the Lakers did the same thing. They saw all the positives of Russ. They said, okay, but you have LeBron James. He's on ball. And they're like, well, okay, no problem. Just Russ a little bit off ball. They'll work together. They said they would do it, right? So, of course, that's what's going to happen. He's going to just adjust a little here, adjust a little there, and we'll get the best of both worlds. We'll get that explosive player. We'll get a player who's an automatic bucket at the rim. And he'll work on his defense. He said he'll commit and this and that, and LeBron will share the ball. I've heard LeBron say he's going to play less on ball. I think every year he says he's going to play less on ball. When the Lakers were a fast team, he said he was going to keep up the pace. He did not. He slowed the team down. Lonzo left. He's on ball. I'm like, you have to understand who these players are at this point. LeBron's going to be that player probably until the end of his career, unless he really takes a backseat to his son and says, I'm just going to, I'm just having fun, right? He's going to be that player. Dennis Schroeder had to deal with this as well. His first season, he had to learn how to play. He was already pretty good off ball because he played with, point guards like Chris Paul. But he's, to me, Dennis Schroeder is the best when he's on ball. But he cannot do that with the Lakers, and he found a way to still be an effective player and, be on ball, 20% of the time. But that's the issue when you're on a LeBron James team. You're normally, if you're a ball handling point guard, that number is going to drop significantly. And can you still be effective? And that's where Russ has struggled. And he looks a little better now. But again, it's preseason. We'll see how things look. And again, that's the other thing as well, which I think that's why there's skepticism. How long before even these new habits start to go away? Will it be after 2 or 3 weeks of a couple tough games? You see the gauntlet that the NBA put on the Lakers right away. Championship ring night, Clippers. I think there's a Mavs game early. It's a tough schedule. So they're going to be tested a lot, and people are going to be watching every time Russ makes a stank face or waves somebody off. It's going to be terrible because, unfortunately, that is Russ's attitude. I'm not worried about it because that's who he's like that when they're up. So he's going to be like that when they're down. He's the same. But the media's going to have a field day now that they're on high alert for him because he just kind of he has like a I don't give a F. He's not fake. You can call Russ whatever you want. He's not fake. He'll tell a reporter they don't know basketball, even if they didn't ask anything wrong. So it's gonna be interesting because he's gonna add fuel to that fire. He's not gonna try to be corporate and die it down.
One thing that we also know is his brother is gonna be entertaining. Shout out Ray.
Ray's funny sometimes for sure.
Man, when Clubhouse was like before it was like really well known and started getting popular, he went on for like 3 hours. That was a good night. We got another game to talk about. Waiting for Chris Splash, the Christian Winfield, to come in and we'll talk some Nets. And that is the Sacramento Kings, Phoenix Suns. But I want to make sure that JF, Micah, Bankai, Malika can have their last say in here about Russ and the Lakers. We'll go to JF. We'll go to Micah. We'll close with Bankai and Malika. Thank you, everybody. Good morning.
Yeah, Chris, did I get a horn for that?
For which one?
Man, I got a phone call. You already know when money calls, Chris.
Oh, yeah, you did because you said you put it on Do Not Disturb. So you got a
Nah, I had to
horn.
take it off. Chris. I had to take it off. Too much people texting me.
It's
But
all good.
yeah, just back to the last thing with that Russell Westbrook Brook point. Um, like I said, going into the Lakers situation was not the ideal situation for that. I think these general managers and organizations get too focused on creating a big three just because LeBron did it in Miami. And we got to understand, like, nobody can beat Pat Riley like that. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you have Magic Johnson leaving, everything's crumbling. Like, you already know why LeBron's there in the Lakers uniform. You had that one ring, and they didn't keep that core team together. When they got rid of that core team, they didn't even retain anything or get back anything worthwhile. I mean, they try to, cover up a bruise with some makeup. You get what I'm saying? By putting Westbrook on the team, which is something that I didn't really agree with, and I thought Westbrook should have probably went to the Clippers, and maybe he would have had a better chance over there. But just finishing it off with that, I think you get what I'm saying. Like the same way we can give LeBron time for him to develop his game from on ball to off ball, the same way we can give that time to Russ. I understand he's stubborn or whatnot, but he's not no Ben Simmons, Chris. So I appreciate you, Chris.
God, man, you were just gonna be doing this all season long.
Yeah, Ben Simmons and Draymond on my list, Chris.
The
And
obsession
then
is
Paul
real,
Pierce.
and we
And
appreciate
Paul
your
Pierce.
attention now.
And we appreciate the consistency too, man. Like everybody give him an applause for the consistency.
You know, Chris, I'm trying to be up in that same level as you as a hater, dog. I don't know if I'm doing a good job, but I'm trying.
Oh, you getting there, like you working at it. Like you could use some refinement. Like some of the hate is pretty overt. You gotta be, so subliminal with some of it, man.
It's hilarious, but good luck this season. Love you anyway.
Micah, hop in here 30 seconds. What's your final take for Russell Westbrook and the Lakers?
Um, just because a player doesn't fit a certain team does not diminish who they are as a player. Like as Maz, we even found this out with Spencer Dinwiddie. He looked like straight dog water in Washington. Came over to our team and was dropping 30 points in a game 7. Just because a player doesn't fit does not diminish who they are as a player.
All right. Bonkai, Malika, anything you want to add in here?
I think everything's been said already. I think we beat that dead horse. So I don't think there's anything really to add. Russ is Russ. Russ will be Russ. If a team wants to deal with it, they will. If they don't, they won't. I mean, it's nothing else really to say.
I think Russell Westbrook is going to have to work extra hard to tailor his game to, not being the main guy anymore, like a lot of people don't think he is. The reason why, and you bring up Carmelo, the reason why Carmelo did it, it was so easy for Carmelo to, find that niche off the bench and not being the featured guy. It's because his game was always tailored kind of like around, he wasn't uber athletic. He wasn't like the fastest. He wasn't like, he didn't jump out the gym or anything. But that's why his game translated so well coming off the bench later on. It was just whether he would
Bro,
accept it or not.
he had to sit.
No, he
Yes, I was about
didn't.
to say.
When he was
He had to
young,
That's for
sit
two.
to
It
learn
wasn't
that
easy.
lesson, man.
It
listen,
wasn't.
when he was young, when he was younger with the Nuggets, at some point with the Knicks, yes. But I'm saying like Carmelo was still fine shooting turnaround jumpers and being stronger than other guys and whatnot. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. His game adjusted a lot easier. He didn't really have to work insanely hard to, find a role off the bench because his game was already, his game was already smooth
It's
enough.
not it's his skill set.
That right? Okay, there you go. That's what I'm saying. And Russ, he hasn't had that. He wasn't like that turnaround jump shooter, that smooth touch. Corner threes, like you said, he doesn't have them. So that's why he has to work a lot harder. On top of accepting that he's no longer a starter or like the guy. You know what I mean? For Carmelo, all he had to do was really accept that he wasn't that type of guy anymore, which he eventually did.
But I would say that it's not that Russ has to work harder at it. He just has to work at it, and he refuses to work at it.
4% of his 3 points were corner threes last year.
For both Melo and Russ, it is mental. It is to the point that you said, Banka, is accepting the fact that what I want to do is not what is necessary for this team.
All right, and we can all collectively tell the Lakers that we told them so. Like we all saw this happening.
You just had to throw that shot at them, didn't you?
Yeah, like
I
we
mean, they
all knew this was happening. Am I wrong?
we
No,
did,
but
and
but but
they ran their mouth hard body, and we're like,
they're
all
petty,
right,
Chris.
we'll wait, you'll see.
All right, we are joined, ladies and gentlemen, by Chris Splash, Christian Winfield, ladies and gentlemen, New York Daily News, Nets
Gang, 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 gang,
NBA reporter,
gang,
man of
gang,
the
gang,
hour. The dude is gonna
gang,
blow
gang.
up. He gonna be too famous for us here on Twitter.
Chill. I always got time for the spaces, you feel me?
I feel you, man. First off, congratulations. Second off, the Nets look like they're primed to take the East. I like them. They look healthy, and I think they all got a chip on their shoulder. And I think that chip is going to bring them together, and they're going to terrorize the East. Milwaukee looks off. Miami didn't really improve. They're still going to be tough, and I think the only competitor that they really truly need to worry about resides in Boston and Philly. So let's get into it. Open it up, man. What did you see in the offseason and preseason, and where you want to go with this?
I mean, off season, I think we all saw chaos, right? We didn't know what type
Yeah.
of team we were going to see. But once things started clearing and it looked, as if Kevin Durant was going to stay, and then he ended up reporting to training camp, and then they had some clearing of the year meeting where KD basically just told everybody what he didn't like, and everybody just had to stomach that, right? Like that is what I think really set the tone for this season. When you've got, I mean, no matter where you stand on KD, we're calling him one of the best players in basketball history at this point. Easily one of the best scorers, isolation, however you want to mark it in NBA history. When you have a guy of his pedigree coming to you as an organization saying, hey, I don't want to be here because this isn't what I signed up for. I want to win a championship, and we don't look like we're heading to that. That's something that as an organization, not just as an organization, I mean, from Steve Nash to Sean Marks to Joe Tsai to even Kyrie Irving, right? Everybody has to sit there and be like, okay, what did we do for this guy to want to be out, right? And what did the Nets do, right? They did not hold up. And granted, right, when Kevin Durant goes down last season, the season ended there. When he missed that month and a half, that was it. Because when you consider Kyrie was out because of not getting vaccinated and the COVID laws or whatever, James Harden requested trade, there was no way the Nets were going to beat the Celtics in that first round, let alone make some miraculous push once KD got back. But what was KD's gripe, right? He was mad that, hey, while I was gone, we were losing winnable games, right? While I was gone, nobody was being held accountable for I guess what he labeled was championship habits, right? He said, look at he pointed to two things. He pointed to how Golden State operates in games when guys aren't playing, and then he looked at the Memphis Grizzlies. Right, the Grizzlies last year in those games where Ja Morant wasn't available, they were 22-5 or something crazy like that.
Yeah, they
And
smoked the league.
yeah, and they smoked the Nets in a game where KD wasn't playing either. And I remember vividly after that game, I asked Steve Nash, hey, why is it the Grizzlies are able to win games without Ja Morant, but y'all can't win without KD? Steve Nash said, I don't know. Right now, this year, you're looking at a team where you looking like you have a Kyrie who's going to be around all year. If I had to bet money on how many games Kyrie's going to play, I'd bet somewhere close to 75 because he's on a contract year, right? He wants that money. And on top of that, he's got something to prove. Like you mentioned, you've got Ben Simmons, another guy who's got a whole lot of stuff to prove, right? Joe Harris, another guy. Everybody from top to bottom in that organization, even Kevin Durant, because you're looking at a guy who went to Golden State to get his two championships, has something to prove in terms of being able to captain and lead a team on his own to that championship. As you mentioned, every single person in this organization has something to prove. And on top of that, I don't think Sean Marks got his flowers. I mean, we were looking at the Royce O'Neal acquisition in the moment, like, okay, well, if Kevin Durant isn't coming back, why do you give up a first round pick? Nah, if Kevin Durant is coming back, Royce O'Neal fits, and we saw it last night. Joe Harris is out, Royce O'Neal is in. Seth Curry is out. You've got Cam Thomas stepping out. I mean, this is a deeper team than they were last year. Granted, still, there's going to be some moving parts that have to work out, right? Ben Simmons looked good yesterday, but the first two games he didn't. Can he consistently be that guy? Is his back going to hold up all year? We don't need him to shoot jump shots. Steve Nash said that the whole time. You don't need him to shoot jump shots. I don't think you need him to shoot jump shots either. You need him to put pressure on the rim. That's what he did last night. If he can do that all year, that pressure is just going to open up things for everybody else on the floor offensively. Defensively, we saw what he was able to do with Giannis on certain possessions. If he can do that with Giannis, I think he can do that with almost anybody in the NBA. So
I'm high on the Nets. I think the Nets have been susceptible to just bullshit happening, right? Whether that's, a player not getting vaccinated, 85 players going into the health and safety protocols at the same time. It seems like anything that can go wrong does go wrong for Brooklyn. But, right now, if we're taking what we've seen so far from preseason, and we're looking at this roster and we're assuming that they're going to grow over the season, I don't think there's any reason why the Nets can't make a deep playoff run. Then you run into Milwaukee. Then you run into Miami. I don't think Miami is really going to be a team you have to really worry about this year, unfortunately. I'm looking at Philly. I'm looking at Boston. I'm looking at Milwaukee as the three teams that the Nets are going to have to contend with. Maybe Cleveland, depending on how good they are. But I think the Nets can beat any of them in a 7-game series if they stay healthy and if this thing goes the right way.
Yeah, we'll get to some of the other teams in a minute. You hit on something that I was going to move to next, and that's Royce O'Neal. And you said it before, Kevin Durant stated blatantly, like championship mentality, right? Like the little habits of championship teams. Royce O'Neal, Markieff Morris, Watanabe were brought in. Patty Mills was brought in. These are all players who have played on championship pedigree style teams. Like, yeah, the Jazz folded, but the Jazz are able to be, perennial 1, 2, or 3 for 5 years where Royce O'Neal was playing. Patty Mills has the Spurs legacy, just as Sean Marks. But you bring in Morris, who has some of the Heat culture and also been on winning teams throughout the league. And everywhere Watanabe's gone, his teams has won. Now, none of these are going to be people who are going to contribute superly, important in the game. But this championship mentality thing, this happens in practice, and you get access to practice. What do you see different now that you didn't see last year?
I mean, I'm not going to overstate the access to practice that we get. You know what I'm saying? We get to see the last 15 minutes of practice, barely 15 minutes, right? We get to see the last 10 to 15 minutes of quote unquote practice, which is really just guys going through some shooting drills, right? So the first thing I'll see when I walk into practice is Royce O'Neal shooting jump shots. He shoots where LaMarcus Aldridge used to shoot, which is the first court once you walk into the practice facility. And not too long ago, it was him and Edmund Sumner. And then really what it is just guys ducked off in their individual workout groups, right? So it'll be Kevin and Kyrie and sometimes Cam Thomas out there shooting together on one court. You'll have Ben Simmons and Nick Claxton shooting free throws on one side. And then you'll have another side where it's other shooters, right? I assume when Joe's healthy, he'll be shooting with Royce. And when Seth's healthy, he'll be shooting with Royce. But when you talk to the players, one thing I got Patty one-on-one not too long ago, and he said, there's a big difference in Steve Nash as a head coach in terms of the way that he approaches the job every day, and I asked Steve about that, and he didn't really go in depth about it. He's a guy who likes to keep certain things to himself, no matter how much you push him on it. But he said, it's nice to know that the players have noticed that he did take a different approach this season. So I think it's more so just a different vibe for everybody in the building, because everybody knows last year, I mean, I don't have any other way to say it. I mean, the Nets kind of shit the bed last year when you consider everything they went through, all the aspirations and declarations that they made for a championship, only to get swept out of the first round. Kyrie said that when he walked off the floor after that first round, that was the first time he walked off a court and felt embarrassed, right? And that was the first time KD ever got swept in his career. I mean, at a certain point, you got to look yourself in the mirror as a player, as a franchise, as an owner, as a GM, and figure out where you went wrong. And I think everybody did that this offseason, including Kevin, right? I think everybody figured out, okay, well, what did I do wrong and how can I be better? And I think that's what we're getting. I think we've seen a team that's kind of matured year over year. And I think sometimes you've got to go through that L, right? Like, teams have to lose in the playoffs when they think they're going to win or suffer some type of really disheartening loss before they can get over the hump. I think, the second round in Milwaukee, you could chalk up to Kyrie and James Harden getting hurt because that's what it was. But last year, getting swept off the floor by the Celtics was kind of just like a culmination of everything the Nets weren't able to get done during the regular season for one reason or another. This year, this team really looks focused, right? That's the vibe I said, when they talk to media on media day and we start talking to them through training camp, you start listening to what players are saying. These guys look focused, and they're not focused on down the road being a championship team. They're focused on today. Even you're talking to these guys about these preseason games. It's like, yeah, we know we're playing the Bucks, but like, we've got a lot of shit to figure out on our own, right? We got to figure out how we're going to fold Ben Simmons into all this. We got to figure out how we're going to get, you got another guy, TJ Warren, who's not even going to play until maybe November, maybe December, right? Like, You've got a whole lot of moving parts. All that stuff has to fit in. These guys are focused because they see all the talent on paper. Funny enough, speaking of on paper, media day comes around, and before Sean Marks talks to the media, I see, obviously I'm waiting to make a sandwich where the food line is. Sean Marks comes out. I say what's up to him, and I say, hey, it looks good on paper. And then he was like, oh my goodness, I don't want to hear the words on paper ever again, right? And I think that's how everybody feels in Brooklyn. Nobody wants to talk about the talent on paper. They want to see what's going to happen on the floor, and I think we're going to see that happen.
All right. We got some vets that are hurt. T.J. Warren. We got Joe Harris, Seth Curry. We all know their timetable coming back. The success that they can have without them is going to be purely dependent upon these young guys, right? Kessler Edwards, Cam Thomas. They have to, if they get the minutes off the bench, provide some type of scoring punch. But so does Nick Claxton.
Sure.
He went 7-8 last night, 16. He's going to be a great, rim finisher. I saw him in the offseason working his shot, and it looked good on these workouts. It looked good on the practice film that we can get. Are we looking at them bringing that about slowly? So, by mid-year, we're seeing pretty much everybody that can go 4 out with Ben in, because I think that's the direction that Steve Nash and Sean Marks are trying to allude to without saying it out loud. That's what I see anyway. What do you see?
I will pump the brakes on Nick Claxton shooting threes in games that count. Just because, Steve is even still talking about how the Nets can maximize their spacing in lineups that Nick and Ben are on the floor, and I think that's why you have a guy like Markieff who you could bring in, and he's never shy of shooting a three. And I think that's why you have small ball where you can put Ben at the 5. I'm not sure that we're going to see Nick Claxton shooting too many threes, but I don't think that's expected of him, right? I don't think the Nets are having him come in the year saying, hey, we need you to shoot 33% from downtown and take 1 a game. I think that's a little lofty. I think Nick's growth, number one, his body, you could see he looks stronger, right? He's playing more physical. You really saw it last night against the Bucks, where he's got to box out against guys like Giannis and Brook Lopez, and he's kind of holding his own. What, he had 16 points, 8 rebounds, 9 rebounds, something like that.
Yeah.
He was really, that was a good game for him. And really what I liked from him was, we're just seeing the maturation in his game. There was one play where he just leaked out in transition. I wasn't expecting him to do that, right? First guy up the court, beating all the Bucks up the floor, finishing with a dunk, right? I'm like, okay, I'm not sure those are things that I saw. And to the points that you made earlier about TJ being out for some time, Seth may or may not play in the season opener. We're not sure. He's still working through ankle surgery. Joe is confident that he will be available for the season opener, but I mean, ankles can be tricky. They're saying it's a sore foot, but it's a sore foot on the same foot as he had the ankle surgery. So all that stuff is connected. That's why the Royce O'Neal acquisition was so important, because Kevin Durant went out and tweeted, hey, it's a wings league, right? Remember when he said that? And Royce is one of the most solid 3-and-D guys that you're going to find. So yeah, I think the team's in good shape. I think Nick is right on track, right? I think Day'Ron is going to get some sort of opportunities, though I think they're going to be minimal, because you've got Markieff who can play that stretch 5, and you also got small ball Ben, and you still got small ball KD. You can put KD at the 5 too and get away with it. So, I think Nick is just fine as long as he's hitting some free throws. I think last night he went 2 for 6. He's got to do a little bit better than that. But I think Nick is right on track.
All right, you're breaking the hearts of some people down below when we don't see Nick Claxton threes, specifically Nets Kingdom AJ.
Maybe you'll see them next season, right? But you've got KD, Kyrie, Joe Harris, Seth Curry, I'm saying, TJ Warren, Royce O'Neal, Udis hitting threes, Cam Thomas hitting threes, Patty Mills. We haven't even talked about him. We don't need to worry about Nick Claxton hitting threes.
I feel you. Cam looked good too.
Yeah.
You do more than just Nets, so I want to give you a good opportunity here to talk what you want. I loved your piece last year that you did towards the end of the season. You talked about Luka Doncic and how you can't deny it, and then like Chris Paul, we just need to go ahead and call it what it is. It's done, right? Give me these guys that you watched that outside the Nets that you just feel like, I can't say no watching player X. This is what I love. Give us some of these guys that you're going to be watching on League Pass too.
One team I'm gonna really have my eye on are the Los Angeles Clippers. Number one, I'm a huge Paul George fan. Yes, he looked terrible in the bubble that one year, but I mean, game is just too icy. You know what I'm saying? He can get anywhere on the floor he wants. I remember one time he's playing against the Nets, and there was just like, obviously the Nets weren't talented at this time. I think he was in OKC or in Indiana, and like it was one of those games where like you could just take all the names off the back of the jerseys and make all the jerseys the same color, and Paul George still looked like no matter who put you, no matter who else was on the floor, he was the best player out there. And I just love watching him. And you add John Wall, a healthy John Wall to that team, you have a healthy Kawhi. I think the Clippers are going to be a team that nobody wants to play because on even the years where they haven't been healthy, they've still been competitive. And now you're telling me they're healthy and you're adding John Wall to the mix. If John Wall is anything like, and granted, the last time John Wall played a full season, I mean, Russell Westbrook won MVP, right? And now we're seeing Westbrook kind of fall off the map. And now you're telling me John Wall is going to be a difference maker. I don't know if that's going to be the case. But if he can be anything, you know what I'm saying, better than Reggie Jackson, and Reggie Jackson's played above his role, if you ask me, I think the Clippers could be dangerous. Who else am I looking at right now? Cavaliers. I want to go to Cleveland just to see what they look like. You know what I'm saying? You've got number one, you got two ex-Nets. You got Jared Allen and Karis LeVert. But I'm really intrigued in seeing what Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell look like as a backcourt. And I'm intrigued to see whether the Cavs are going to go Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, if they're going to bring Kevin Love off the bench. Like that front court can be really dangerous depending on what combinations they use. So I'm looking at that. I, unlike some other people, am not as high as on the Grizzlies as I was last year. You know, I think last year they may have caught some teams by surprise. I think this year everybody's going to know what's up, right? And you know, I'm not sure if they can sustain the same level of winning that they did last year, but we'll see. I think the Suns are going to fall off, right? I think that's just a ticking time bomb. I don't think anybody is expecting them to be any good this year, just because you've got somebody who may not even want to be there, who's not really has a good
Yeah.
good standing with his head coach. You know, so I mean, I think the NBA is in a really good place. There's a lot of basketball that I want to watch. I'm trying to think of one more team.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be watching Memphis because I think this is the year that Ja gets the AI treatment. He's just gonna be put on the floor again and again and again.
Jesus. Yeah, probably you have to. At a certain point, kind of like Trae Young. Everybody got on me when I tweeted that somebody needs to put Trae Young on his ass in that series between the Hawks and the Knicks. But number one, that's the ultimate sign of respect when you can't guard a player, so you got to put him on his ass. That's what's gonna have to happen with Ja Morant. He is blowing. He's making people look stupid. Right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to do something, otherwise your team will get embarrassed. What other team am I looking forward to? I think the Celtics are going to be good with or without Ime Udoka. You know, I think obviously he made a difference, but they just had something that was pre-existing before he came, right? And it's really just the same group of guys. And you add in Malcolm Brogdon. I think that was a huge pickup for them. Lastly, I'm trying to think of another Western Conference team that I really want to watch. Coming up blank, I think we're seeing that the East is really starting to take control in the NBA, right? You've got a lot of good teams at the top of the East, and out West, you've got the Warriors, who, I mean, you just had Draymond knock Jordan Poole cold out, right? I mean, we don't know how that's going to resolve in a couple weeks, right? We don't know what Phoenix is going to look like. I don't feel comfortable putting any type of faith on the Lakers. So we're really talking about the Grizzlies, the Nuggets. There you go. That's the team. I think the Denver Nuggets are going to be really good because they're finally healthy. You know, you got some guys out there. You got Bruce Brown and Jeff Green on that team, I believe. Those are good role players. Nikola Jokic is probably going to have another MVP caliber season. Whether he wins it or not, I don't know. I think this might be Luka's year to win MVP because if the Mavericks are going to be any good, he's going to be averaging a 30-point triple-double.
Yep, I
And yeah.
agree.
Oh, one last team, Philly. I mentioned them earlier, but I mean, that team is loaded. And I mean, if James Harden is playing at anywhere near a high level, I think that team is going to win a ton of games, and it's just going to come down to whether he can perform in the playoffs when the games are like elimination status.
Man, look, the man is on fire. Everybody, give him a round of applause. We're gonna let him catch his breath. We're gonna put the game show music on, drink some water. We're gonna do some non-basketball stuff. Get your hands up if you have questions. We're not. We have him as long as he can stay. I am so appreciative of the knowledge he's dropping here. So make sure you shoot him a follow if you haven't started following him yet. You can catch his
Appreciate
words.
that.
Yeah, you can catch. You're dope, man. I love it. You can catch his words over at New York Daily News too. So make sure you head over there. When you do click on it, you know, if you leave a review, trust me, it helps with the editing process. It makes him look better. That's called engagement and interaction. And if you put something down that's really dope, maybe he responds. That's how it works in life, man. Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong.
These are facts. But hey, if you guys engage with the stories that I post, it might force the New York Daily News' hand in sending me to more games. The New York Daily News is kind of it's kind of like a lot of other publications where they're kind of battling as to whether or not they should be sending reporters to games, whether it's worth it. I like to think sending me anywhere is worth it. So if y'all comment under stories when I tweet them, might catch the editor's attention, and then boom, there's more of a travel budget. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. My colleagues are in Milwaukee right now, heading to Minnesota. At least I know ESPN and the New York Post are. I'm not going. The Athletic's not going. I don't think Newsday has a Nets beat writer yet, which is kind of crazy. So yeah,
Except Utah.
Every little bit helps.
Don't send him to Utah. He doesn't want to go to Utah.
I will go to Utah if I get to stay at that like haunted hotel, right? Isn't that out there?
Yeah, that is out there.
Yeah, I would stay there and like document the whole time. It would probably, I don't know if I'd make it home, but we'll see.
The worst it's the worst experience I've ever had in the NBA city. I'm not gonna lie. All right, here we go. I'm gonna hit this game show music. This is not basketball related. All right, it's leisure. You're gonna let him catch his breath. You guys got questions, but I got some questions first to get him in the right frame of mind. Christian, are you ready?
Let's get it.
Pancakes, waffles, or French toast?
Damn, how you just starting with the most difficult question ever? Pancakes, waffles. Oh wait, that's not difficult. I'm going waffles. 10 out of 10 every time. Waffle every time.
There you go. French fries or potato chips?
French fries every time, every single time.
Man, what? Hate to see it. You hate to see it.
Oh nah, y'all are crazy.
All right, ice cream or custard?
Custard? What the ice cream me, please? Ice cream.
Oh
what?
Man.
Who is responsible for choosing these right or wrong answers? I'm going to have a conversation.
Hey, look, you're talking to him right now. Last one. Prince or Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson. I'm sorry, I love Prince, but I gotta go with MJ 10 times out of 10. Wow, y'all are crazy. This is incredible.
Hate to see it, man.
Wow. Potato chips over French fries.
I tell you what.
7.
I'm gonna give you a chance to redeem and get a bonus point here. Batman or any other superhero?
I'm taking Batman 10 times out of 10. I'm sorry. Wow, this is incredible,
man.
Y'all some haters.
Crash and burn, man.
Y'all some haters. This is amazing.
Crash and burn. Oh no!
Crazy.
Let me cut the boom sound off. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Christian Winfield. We've got him for 8 minutes or longer if he can. If you got questions, raise your hand. Please do us the favor. Shoot everybody up on stage a follow. If you do get a follow, try to follow back so we can grow this community one person at a time. We'll go to somebody you've spoken to before, Malika Walker. Malika, how you doing?
How you doing? Hey, Kristen.
What up, Malika?
I guess the last few games before this one of the combinations I was concerned about on the floor at first, and I wasn't going to be concerned long term, but just in the short term, was Ben Claxton and Ben and Clax. I call them Ben Clax. I guess I gave them a nickname. Funny. And I felt that they were in each other's way, and for lack of a better way to explain it. But last game, I felt better about that. Another thing I'm concerned about is the woes of Patty Mills shooting continuing. And Joe Harris with his injury, because it's the same foot. I'm glad we have Royce O'Neal. But it'd be a delight to have Joe Harris too. But it's like I'm at the point where I don't want to look forward to it, because then I'll be disappointed if we know we have that song and dance like we had last year. So I want to get your thoughts on those few things.
Okay, so first was Ben Clax, right? I think, concerned or not, that's a lineup that's going to have to play. I don't think we're going to see Ben playing long-term minutes at the center, like maybe in like 3 or 4 minute spurts tops. But I think the Ben Claxton lineup is just something that they're going to have to figure out. And that's something that's going to take some time, right? Like, you know, I don't. You don't have to like lay out the whole fact sheet on how much time Ben Simmons missed, but I mean, 470 days away from basketball, coming back
Oh
to play
yeah,
with
I'm aware
players
of
that you
that.
never
I'm aware
played
of
with,
that.
right? And now
Yeah.
trying to figure out how you fit alongside certain guys. I mean, at the end of the day, some teams are going to have one non-shooter on the floor, and some teams are going to have two. This team happens to have two, but one of those non-shooters is an all-star playmaker on both ends of the floor, and the other one of those non-shooters is trying to be a two-way big man who can protect the rim on one end and get you buckets on the other side. I'm not too worried about that. I think it's just going to take some time to figure it out. And once you do figure it out, we'll see, you know what I'm saying? We'll see Clack setting screens for Ben more often. We'll see a whole bunch of stuff, right? In terms of Joe and his health, I mean, that is something to be concerned about. We're talking about somebody who got two surgeries on the same ankle last season and now is having soreness on the foot that he got the surgery on. I mean, I would say that Joe said he expected the soreness, right? He expected that his foot would get sore because it's been a long time. He didn't play since what, last November 14th was the last time he played basketball, right? So he's just now getting into the flow, and then on top of that, he's getting into the flow on a foot that just got surgically repaired twice. But this is why you go get Royce O'Neal. This is why you don't trade Seth Curry. This is why you keep Cam Thomas and don't trade him, right? This is why if Yuta Watanabe makes the roster, I think what we saw from him last night was, he's not scared to let that thing fly, and he's going to knock some shots down. And then on top of that, you got TJ Warren just waiting to get healthy too. And who knows if he'll be able to stay healthy. But even if he's even able to play maybe 30 games this season, that's a bonus. TJ Warren's a guy who can give Kevin Durant a break from time to time, right? So, I think Joe will be okay. I think he'll be able to. I think at some point the ankle move will be something in the past. But even if he's not, I think that the Nets have enough depth on their roster to make up for his absence. But I do think they will need him if they're going to make a deep playoff run for sure.
All right. I
Thank
love
you.
it.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
All right. We'll go next to JFK. JF question regarding the Nets or the NBA.
Yeah, Chris. Just regarding the Nets, I know you guys are still, forming your core team and still trying to put that chemistry together. But how much faith do you have in Steve Nash? And if you don't have any faith, who are you looking to next to be the head coach? I think you guys have the talent, but my concern has always been, who's leading that team? Because when you get into these 7-game series with these experienced coaches, that's where you already said to it. What do you do when KD goes down? The I don't know, is kind of concerning from Steve Nash. So I just wanted to hear what you had to say about that. If you heard anything about, what I'm saying, they're moving on from Steve Nash or what Steve Nash is doing this year to implement a better, coaching, I guess you can say, ability so he can get these players, on the right track because you do have Kyrie and KD. So for them not to succeed is kind of unexplainable. So you got to look at the head coach. So I just want to hear what your thoughts on that.
You know, part of it, and I'm not bailing Steve Nash out for under any circumstances because I was someone who held his feet to the fire last season. But we have to call a spade a spade when you have, first off, you have Kyrie out of the rotation because he didn't get vaccinated for God knows how long. Then he comes back and Kevin Durant gets hurt, Joe Harris gets hurt, right? And then, where things got shaky for Steve Nash was when the Nets lose, 11 in a row, and in half those games, you have Kyrie and James Harden on the floor. And for some of those stretches, it's looking like James Harden is just like clearly throwing these games because he doesn't want to be there anymore. But on the other side of it, it's like, okay, well, you still have Kyrie Irving and James Harden. Why are you losing to the Sacramento Kings? Right. So it's weird, but at the same time, it's also like, Steve, and I don't really want to say never really had a chance to, but we're seeing him now install a far more like the offenses the Nets are running right now is night and day to what they did last season. I mean, last season it was get the ball to Kyrie, get the ball to KD, get the ball to James Harden, let James Harden create for somebody, right? There was no flow to this offense. This year, right, just in preseason games, I'm seeing players. I swear I rarely saw Kevin come off a pin down last season, and now we're seeing him come off a pin down and then set up at the high post. You got Ben getting the ball to the high post, and KD's got a mismatch all of a sudden. That stuff doesn't happen without practice and offensive sets being put in. And I think we're seeing that. And I do think we see a different version of Steve Nash because we were just talking about guys who have a chip on their shoulder. I mean, when Kevin Durant comes to Joe Tsai and says, "Hey, you got to fire Steve Nash," that's tough. That's something that Steve Nash has to look in the mirror about, right? And you know, I don't think that like, could we see Steve Nash get fired? Sure, it could happen to anybody. If the Nets come out and go 5-20, you know, to start the season, would Steve Nash be in the hot seat? Absolutely. Do I envision that happening? I don't think so. Because number one, I think the way this team is playing and the way the roster is pretty much almost completely healthy once you get Joe and Seth back, and now you're just really waiting for TJ to get right. You know, a lot of the Nets woes and in conjunction Steve's issues came from not having healthy players, right? And now we're seeing this team have healthy players. So I, you know, I'm kind of not worried about Steve. Oddly enough, you know, I'm seeing what the offense looks like. I'm seeing how players are talking about his change year over year, you know, and I'm seeing what this team kind of looks like in the roster coming together. I don't think I'm thinking about Steve Nash getting replaced or even fired right now because I think this team is going to look good. Now, if they look bad, right? If we're talking about they're going 5-20 in their first 25 games or something along those lines, then sure, you know, I don't know what that replacement looks like. I don't know who you go get. But I mean, when you've got Joe Tsai coming out and saying, "Hey, I support the front office and our coaching staff," and not firing Steve or Sean after Kevin goes to him and says, "Hey, you got to fire both of them or trade me." You know, I think that's a testament to number one, how much confidence they have in this staff, right? In both Steve and Sean. And number two, I mean, last year was just crazy, right? You can, sure, year one, rookie head coach Steve looked in over his head. Last year, obviously, yes, Steve looked in over his head at multiple times, including that ugly playoff series. But that series was going to go that way regardless, just because of all the things the Nets had to deal with last year. I think this year you have a clean runway, and I'm expecting Steve to look good as a head coach this year. Those are words I didn't think I'd ever say. Honestly, not going to hold you.
Let me give you a quick chance to get some water. That was a great answer and a great question. I'm going to give everybody the first 5 games that the Brooklyn Nets are going to play opening the season Wednesday, October 19th. They will be playing New Orleans at home, followed by Toronto at home, then on the road at Memphis, Milwaukee, then back home again with Dallas. That's 5 bona fide teams. And I think you're going to get a pretty good semblance of the first week of NBA action. We are going to go next to Brian. What's up, Brian? Appreciate you coming up. Question for Christian Winfield of the New York Daily News.
Yeah, hey, good afternoon, everybody. And Chris, thanks for having me up. It's always a pleasure to be in one of your rooms. Christian, it's an absolute pleasure to be able to talk with you. I have actually 2 questions for you. And I want to agree with the statement that you made at the top of when I came in here. This is going to be a very exciting NBA season because the talent is truly spread out across the board, both in the East and the West, more so than I can remember in past years. And I think it's just going to be a fantastic year all around. But as a Cavs fan, I got a question there, and then I'm going to go out west. Everybody's pointing to Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, which is the obvious 2 suspects to look at. How well is that going to work? So on and so forth. I'm not looking at that. I'm more looking at Evan Mobley. And my thing is, if Evan Mobley can take the step this year that he took last year coming out of college, I think that's where the key is for the Cavaliers, because I think Donovan and Darius will get it together. I think they will play well together. But Evan Mobley, to me, is that piece that really can put everything together for them. I was wondering how you felt about that. And then out west, I'm picking an interesting thing to look at. And I heard you talk about a lot of the teams, but what I'm interested to see, how well Cat and Gobert are going to work together in Minnesota. So I wanted to know how you felt about that too. Thanks.
You know, it's interesting that you brought those 2 teams up because I feel like earlier this offseason or earlier in the training camp, someone asked me what are the 2 most interesting teams in my eyes, and they were the Timberwolves and the Cavaliers, funny enough. I think the Timberwolves are going to have a really good season, and I think that's because we're going to see Cat fuck around and play point guard, right? Because you've got Rudy Gobert guarding the rim for him, right? And now you basically are taking the leash off the Cat and saying, "Hey, expend all your energy on getting buckets and really roaming around to get stops." I think the Wolves are going to be a really fun team, and I think because they're going to be so good, it's going to put a super bright spotlight on none other than D'Angelo Russell. Because if D'Angelo Russell can't take that next step, I feel like we've been waiting for D'Angelo Russell to take one more step for about 5 years now, and he hasn't done it. And if he's not able to do that, and he's that last piece that they need to upgrade to be able to call themselves a championship caliber team, D'Lo could be on the move. That's what I'm looking at out there. I think the Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns pairing is going to work just fine. Um, as far as Cleveland, I'm not sure, and part of me wants to flip this question back on you. If Evan Mobley is able to take that step that you see him taking, I mean, does that then make Jared Allen expendable, right? Which do you then move Jared Allen and put Evan Mobley at the 5 and find a way to fill out the roster, or are you comfortable running two tall bigs only with because now you're running one guy in JA who's obviously just a rim roller and rim protector, another guy in Evan Mobley who can protect the paint, could score a little bit more. Do you run that Twin Tower set, or do you move on from Jared Allen as a Cavs fan? What would you do?
I'm running with it, and
Yeah,
here's my reason why is because neither one of them are lumbering big men. They're both athletic. They're both
right.
agile. They both can guard, multiple positions. And what I'm looking for out of Evan this year is to develop that 3-point shot, which he's been working on all summer, and it actually looked good last year. It's just a matter of him kind of dialing it in. It's not a matter of whether he can do it. It's just a matter of dialing it in. If he can do that, I think that makes JA on the offensive side of the ball more dangerous because he'll have a lot of one-on-ones down there. And plus, we already know about his rim protection. And the thing with Evan is last year, the one thing I could pick out about him is he had tremendous weak side defense. And that's rare in a rookie coming into the league to be able to understand how to play it, let alone play it. But no, I'm very comfortable with that. And not only that, but they got JA on a really nice contract.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, he's not costing them a lot of money if you really, put the dollars and cents together. So
Yeah.
no, I'm good with running with that. Again, like I said, mostly because neither one of them are lumbering, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, it does. And I guess the question now becomes: you've got 1, 2, 4, and 5 locked down, right? What does that 3 spot look like? And I was talking to a friend not so long ago. He said, "Hey, I think the Cavs are going to miss Lauri Markkanen." Words I never thought I'd hear anybody say, right? But I mean, he was saying that Lauri is just so long defensively. He's able to switch and he's able to knock down some threes. That's something that nobody else on the Cavs can really do. I didn't really, I'm gonna admit I didn't watch too many Cavs games last year until they started playing, except the games they were playing against the Nets. Is losing Lauri Markkanen something you think you guys are gonna miss, or do you think Karras is gonna be able to step up and play that 3?
Well, I think that's a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the reason why. Yeah, Lauri was a huge fit for us last year and did a tremendous job at that 3 spot, which a lot of people didn't think he was going to be able to do. So he surprised a lot of people. But at the same time, Darius had no help in the backcourt. Okay. The way you were able to shut the Cavs down last year is if you blitzed that kid at the half court line before he could even get across half court, there was nowhere else for the ball to go. So you replace Lauri with Donovan. Now you've given DG that help, in the backcourt, because now you really can't blitz him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to try to more so one-on-one with him, because if you're going to leave Donovan by himself, he can kill you.
Kind of like why the Hawks needed to go get someone like DeJounte Murray to take that
Correct.
pressure off of Trae.
Yeah, correct. So, I mean, the way I see it, you got to sacrifice one for the other. And if I'm going to do that, I'd rather have DG get the help, because I think Evan and JA can hold their own down there and cover that deficiency up a little bit. I'm not a fan of Karras starting, just to be honest with you.
Sure.
And the reason why is because I need that punch coming off the bench. Karras is an aggressive type player. Karras needs to be in rhythm and in that mindset for him to be effective. And I just think with too many scores on the court along with him, he gets too passive and it takes him out of his game. You know what I mean? So if I'm going to get 15, 16 points out of Karras, I need him coming off the bench with one of those scorers off the court so he doesn't feel the need to give up the ball and he can just do his thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So who do you start at the 3?
Man, that's a crapshoot. I mean, right now you're looking at Isaac Okoro. I mean, it really is.
Yeah,
I mean,
or
right
Dean
now,
Wade. You could always throw Dean Wade in there.
Yeah, and my thing with Dean Wade is this. In the beginning part of the game, if he can just eat up 7 to 8 to 9 minutes in the first quarter, you know what I mean, just to get the rotation and the rhythm, I think I could survive that because I've got 3 other scorers on the court. You know what I mean? And he will hit an open shot, which is the total opposite. Now you're going to sacrifice defense a little bit, which is the total opposite of Okoro. Okoro's going to give you a little bit more defense, but he ain't going to hit the open shot. So, I mean, again, it's 6 of one, half dozen any other, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you guys might be a team that's active around the buyout market trying to find that 3 that makes sense.
It's possible, yeah.
And if not, you guys might make a move, right? Maybe you trade somebody, but who do you have to give up to get a starter, right? I don't know.
No, not really, because I mean, off the bench, you need Love and his production, what he gave you last year, you know, and the minutes that he gave you last year, which I think was perfect for him because it kept him healthy all year.
Yeah.
You got Rubio that's going to be coming back. If you have Karras coming off the bench, that's a formidable 3 right there.
You have to convince somebody to take Gidi Osman.
Oh God, don't even go there.
I'm just trying to save time. I'm just trying to save time. We got other questions to go to.
Bro, wasn't Jetty Osman supposed to be like the second coming of? Well, I guess that's what LeBron does, right? He makes everybody out to be better than they are. Right?
All I could describe Jetty is painful. Okay, because he gives you that 3 or 4 game spurt where you're like, oh my God, and then he'll disappear for 10 games, and you're like wanting to kick him off the team. You know what I mean?
That's tough.
Wally Zerbiak who can't shoot.
It's a rough spot to be in with him. So we'll see. I mean, the 3 is going to be a weak spot for the Cavs. There's no question. I think there's enough talent though in the starting 5 maybe to cover that deficiency up a little bit. We'll see how it goes. I mean, nobody could be perfect 1 through 5, right?
These are facts.
I heard a twinge of emotion when he was talking about Jetty Osman.
He did the pain. He did the anguish.
Pain.
Well, Chris, it's frustrating because I had high hopes for the kid. I mean, when we first got him, he was athletic. He was wild. He was like a wild colt, right? So I just figured if we could just, rein him in a little bit and get him within his game and keep him there, that he could be a really good player. But
if you had Wild Coat on the Hoop Spaces bingo card, give yourself a point. All right, Brian, we got to move on. Got other questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, fellas.
Absolutely. Have a good one. And if you thought you was going to get a Cleveland Cavaliers breakdown, you also get a point because that was a really good convo. Good sidebar. All right, we've got 3 more people that we're going to go to with their hands up. It's 12:42. I want to take the time to thank everybody for coming into your pre-Friday Hoop Spaces. This is our first week back of Season 2, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. or sometimes we will run it over because basketball is life. That is what they tell us. And then we're here for it. All right, next up, Kwambo. What's up? How you doing?
The name is Combo back, Chris.
I'm going Kwambo. You didn't just put the U in there, Cash.
No. Jalen Hurts is a combo back. It's kind of like the combo guard, the emergence in the 90s. He's a running back mixed with a quarterback.
Oh,
gosh. Run the space, call it NFL War Zone. If you got a chance, pull up. We're giving away some prizes for the free Pick'em League. Gave up a lot of good prizes over the last few weeks. I have a question for Christian, though. Kyrie Irving. What are the chances?
I knew someone was going to ask about that, man.
I asked the uncomfortable questions that they don't want to ask. Last year, I told people that James Harden would be out by the end of the season, not the offseason. Now I'm looking at Kyrie Irving with no contract on the table. Rumors, speculations. It was a wild offseason. I felt like KD did everything he did to make sure he got Kyrie got a long-term contract, and he did it. What are the odds Kyrie Irving stays and the Nets let him just walk away for free in the offseason?
I think that's probably closer to 0 than you might think.
Okay.
Just because, number one, the harsh reality that if Kyrie walks the Nets cap situation, they can't just go out and sign somebody else, right? They won't have cap space to add somebody. Number 2, I mean, I don't know about you, but if I knew I only had 1 more year left on my contract and I could possibly be eligible for something close to $200 million if I play right, I'm going to put the best, string of performances of my life together. And that's what I'm expecting from Kyrie. I'm expecting a locked-in Kyrie. On top of that, I mean, Kyrie has always said that he wanted to be in Brooklyn, right? Even when the KD trade stuff started coming out, we started hearing from him talking about, hey, I want to stay here, but if they want to trade me, I want to go where I want to go. right? So like
Right.
I think he's somebody who wants to stay here. You have the New Jersey ties, you have the obviously the New York ties as well. And I think the Nets value him. It's just a matter of number one, the contract that they were trying to give him was incentive laden with like just you know what I'm saying something that a player of his caliber shouldn't accept, especially if we're talking about him being susceptible to injury, getting hurt on the job, but then not being able to get paid. Right? I don't think that's something that you accept if you're him, but I do think still like he's a guy who, you know, and I've said this so many times. Kevin Durant is the best player on this team, right? By far. And the season might hinge on whether or not Ben Simmons can be his full self. But people are paying to go see Kyrie Irving. I mean, Kyrie Irving is a guy who puts on a
Blockbuster.
show every time he touches the floor, and I think there's no real price that you can put on that. So, if I had to bet, I'm thinking Kyrie's going to be in Brooklyn for at least the next 4 years, right? He's going to
Okay.
be somebody who's going to be here long term. And then if Ben Simmons is healthy, you're looking at this big three closing KD's career out, right? Because KD's what 34 now, and he's got a few more years left on his deal. I think this big three is going to be there for as long as KD is there.
All right. And just to clarify, did you say the Sixers are loaded? Is that the word? Did you say
Yeah,
loaded?
unfortunately, yeah. You look at
You are
them,
absolutely right. We are loaded like a
unbelievable,
baked potato with sour cream, chives,
unbelievable.
onions, turkey bacon bits, jalapenos,
Hey, that's
everything.
a
We are
good
loaded.
potato
And
right
on the
there, brother.
76th year of the NBA, the 76ers are going to win the championship. Write that down, Chris.
I
Nice
Wow,
to
got you,
meet you.
Cash.
And hey, Matt, the Phillies are going to
wow,
beat the Braves, and the Eagles are going to spank the Cowboys.
wow.
Have a good day,
Never
Cash.
change, Cash.
Never
Never change.
change. All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you
Wow.
check out the NFL War Zone if you're trying to get some NFL content. Christian, that's my bad, Cash. What you
Yeah,
think?
it felt like an advertisement on Hoop Spaces. I was like, what is he promoting here?
Hey,
That
man,
was a
y'all
good
have a
one.
great day, man.
Yeah,
You
take
too.
it easy, brother.
All right, we got time for three more questions. We got three more people, but we got to keep it breezy. We got to keep it moving because I got to close out as well. We'll go next to Tony. Then we got Ruru and we got Matt. Tony, you're up. How you doing? Good morning.
Good morning, Chris. Thank you for having me. Thank you for bringing me up. I actually have a question. Well, not a question, but I just wanted to see if I'm off base with the Nets. I kind of catch some of the game last night. I like the ball movement. I like the energy. But one of the things that I notice is this team kind of needs Claxton to be kind of like that aggressive, like this team changes completely when Claxton's aggressive on the defensive end, and I don't know if that's 100% true or not, but it just felt like it was a different energy when he gets blocks, when he gets rebounds. When people are diving to the floor. This team entirely changes its look, and yeah, there was some shooting woes like I think Malika said that it was apparent, but no doubt the looks aren't there. Like they were having open shots. Kyrie was going off in a certain sense, but I kind of like the team again if they have the mindsets and they buy into the roles. And I just wanted to see if that was if that was off base or is there more to it because I feel like with Markeith with Claxton like I think those they need that aggressive nature to kind of elevate this team farther, if that makes it if that makes sense. Because I think even Ben Simmons is he's still trying to get his legs under him. He's still trying to get a feel to the whole entire game, and in terms of how he would fit it next to next to Kyrie and Katie. But I like what I see. I just hope they can maintain that level of energy.
Yeah, I would agree with you in terms of Clax being aggressive defensively, and I think that comes from him just by virtue of having put on strength and weight this offseason. And I think what's also going to make him more aggressive defensively is that you have a shutdown defender in Ben Simmons. I mean, we watched Ben Simmons get robbed last night because I watched him pick Giannis's pockets in the backcourt and the refs called the foul. Right, I watched him guard Giannis not the full length of the floor, and Giannis wasn't expecting it. I watched Ben Simmons get the steal, and then the ref called the foul when you have Ben Simmons really able to kind of maybe not even neutralize, because I don't think you're able to neutralize the best players in this league. But when you're able to really make it difficult on them, that big man now is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna slide over because it's already difficult for him to blow by Ben. Now he's gonna try to hit the basket. Nah, I'm gonna be there, and and that's the value of having a guy. Number one, Ben's energy on defense is just going to raise everybody else's energy. That's how it works, right? When you see Ben diving on the floor getting stops, now you see Kyrie diving on the ball on the floor getting stops. Now you see Kevin Durant, Nick Claxton making plays because Ben Simmons has that defensive energy. That's another reason why I can't wait to see how Nick and Ben look together, because defensively, them, and then you throw Royce O'Neal in the mix. I think that the Nets defensive potential is something that we really haven't spoken about much. But yeah, no, I think Clarkson is going to be a lot more aggressive defensive, and that also just comes with more time in the league. I mean, you look at how many games he's played over his first few years in the season. He's been hurt every season, right? He's missed games. Now he's at, well, who knows if he's going to get hurt or not. He's coming into the league stronger, right? He's coming into, Steve said something interesting about him. He said that Nick had a more professional approach to his work and to his craft in training camp, and that it's showing now in the preseason. And I think that's what we're seeing. I think that's what we're gonna see. So yeah, to your point about Nick being more aggressive defensively, I think that comes from him being stronger, and that comes from him putting more work in the gym. But I also think that comes from having an aggressive point of attack defender like Ben Simmons, who's really just going to raise the level of everybody on that side of the floor.
Thank you. Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. And just wanted to add a question. Where do you feel as of now, because this is all preseason, we haven't seen this team really have a, just by what we've seen, where do you have them ranked, I guess, in terms of the East, like just the floor and the ceiling, I guess.
I mean, I guess the ceiling obviously is the best team in the East, right? If everything is clicking, if everybody can stay healthy, if other teams don't look as good, I think the Nets can be number one and come out of the East. And I don't think that's a hot take. I think the floor, I mean, is obviously if things go wrong, we saw them as low as 10th, right? If if everything goes wrong, we could see that again. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think I can rank them right now. I think that would be the most accurate and fair way I can rank them in terms of where I see them. I think you have to put respect on Boston for coming out of the East. You have to put respect on Milwaukee for, if Chris Middleton isn't there, I think the Bucks come out of the East, right? So I've got Milwaukee number one, I've got Philly number two, and numbers 3 and 4 are a toss up in my opinion between Brooklyn and Boston. I think right now the Nets just have to build so much chemistry right now. You still got a lot of guys playing who haven't really played with each other. You still got Steve Nash implementing new offensive sets versus you've got teams like Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly that have been together for some time who really just have the same guys and just adding pieces around them. Even Miami could be in that mix, but I think they're gonna have a drop off because of no PJ Tucker. But at the same time, those guys have been together for some time, right? So I think coming out of the gates, the Nets is easily going to be a top 5 team. I think Cleveland also has to do some learning in terms of getting Donovan Mitchell in the mix, but that's your top 6 right there. I think that was 6 teams, right? Milwaukee, Boston, Brooklyn, Philly, Miami, Cleveland. I think that's your top 6 right there. Where the Nets ranking there, I think top 4, and then you're jostling position for position in that top 4. I think if the Nets are going to be a number 1 seed, it's going to happen sometime after the first 20 games because those first 20 games are going to be that learning curve where guys are still figuring out these sets, maybe 25 games. But I think we're going to see the Nets finish the season somewhere in the top 4. If things go really well, they could be number 1. If things don't go really well, I mean, they could finish as low as 6, but I'm not sure I see that happening.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. Great question, Tony. We've got just a few minutes left remaining in the show, and I just want to thank Christian because I know we're going to go through these last 2 questions really quickly so we can close out properly. I'm going to give Malika a chance to read her show for now, right now, as we got a lot of people here, and we want to make sure that you listen in to something else that we actually provide in terms of content. Malika, go ahead. What do we got planned for your show tonight?
Thanks, Chris. Tonight we're going to discuss the Redeem Team, Doc, in detail. How pivotal was Kobe's addition to the Redeem Team, to them winning the gold. And we're going to just talk about the dynamics of that team. We're also going to talk about the top 10 centers all time. I feel like 1 through 5 is a lock. And, people pretty much will probably have the same. If you do have a different top 5 than Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Shaq, and like Hakeem, like some of that variety, then to come with why one of them don't belong in the top 5. But think about your 6 through 10 and why they're your 6 through 10, and bring that to the conversation as well. So that's tonight. I have the invite in the jumbotron, so check me out, me and along with Brandon. So check us out. Thanks,
Right.
Chris.
Absolutely. Hey, look, when we started this back on Clubhouse, and when Twitter, came to me and said, "Hey, we love what you're doing. We'd love for you to build here." Part of it was being able to express what your thoughts were, what your opinions are, and to feel with other people with the same passion. So, if you remember a player, and I already told her my player, I told it yesterday. I don't think anybody's gonna say Moses Malone, right? But if you actually know ball, like, you would have to say he could have an argument to be in this top 5 if you look at the production in his career and his accolades. I digress.
Over
We've
the top 5 I named?
I'm saying you could make an argument. Like, I'm not
I want
saying
to
it's
hear
going to
the
be
argument.
successful.
And Shaq, I forgot I didn't mention, but I want to hear that argument, Chris. To be
All
honest,
I'm gonna say is, how many centers are we? Is this a top 5 centers of all time, or just top 5 players of all time? Because how many
top
Top
five
5
centers?
center.
centers.
Oh, okay. I was like, I'm hearing top 5, and I'm just hearing big men rattled off and off. I'm like, wait, how many centers do you have in the top 5? It goes to show you how many good centers there are in NBA history. Because you could have 3 centers in the top 5 players of all time, and nobody bat an eye, because centers have been that dominant. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly. I think, although, like, what it is people tend to forget the guys that were really good in between eras, right? And Moses was in between an era.
Mm.
And so we don't view him.
But Chris, who are you dropping down of the names I named?
Oh,
Who are you
I'm
taking
not.
out of the top
I'm
5?
not dropping down anybody. I'm saying that there's an argument. Like, I'm just trying to spice it up a little.
I agree, but people, if you're going to come to this and say that somebody shouldn't be in it, that you have a different top 5,
Yeah.
you got to say why you're
Yeah.
putting people above the
Can't
people.
wait for the person to come up there and say Giannis. It's going to happen. Ruru, we're going to go to you, and then we got Matt, and we're going to close out. I want to thank everybody for popping in your pre-Friday edition of Hoop Spaces, and I want to thank our special guest, Christian Winfield, a.k.a. Chris Splash of the New York Daily News. Ruru, go ahead. Get your question in 30 seconds.
Yo, what's up? I hear everybody talking. Well, not everybody, but majority of the people talk about they don't know how Claxton can fit with Ben Simmons. But I feel like they should do that starting 5 because that starting 5, that defense can lead to the offense. So that way Claxton wouldn't be such a liability on offense because his defense is making offense. But I do have a question for Kristen about the motion scheme that we running. You think that's the assistant coach scheme, Igor? I can't really pronounce his last name, but he had that European motion scheme, and I'm seeing a lot of that with the Nets doing. So you think that's his scheme or some Steve Nash? Hooked up?
That's an interesting question. Um, I think that, I think part of it is a byproduct of having healthy bodies, right? Because Steve alluded to wanting to install things last season that he wasn't able to because the roster was just in shambles. But he also said, I think you're talking about Igor Kokoskov. He referenced him as and this is a quote, an offensive encyclopedia. So yeah, they're absolutely running some of the things that he's been implementing. But I guess I can't answer that question. I don't know. I don't know if it's all Steve, if it's all Igor. I would assume that they came together and said, "Hey, let's see if this works." One thing Steve said is that the players tell you what stays and what goes in terms of plays and offensive sets. So no matter who put it in, the players had to have, signed off on it. And I like the way it looks. And it's something that we haven't seen. I can't wait to see Joe in this offense too. because he's somebody we only saw in game one and it looked good, but he didn't even shoot well, right? I want to see Joe having a hot night when he's running in between screens, looking like JJ Redick, right? Like, I think this offense has a lot of potential. I think the defense has a lot of potential. The Nets have potential to be a really good team on both ends of the floor. I think it's at this point a lot of the stuff is out of their hands. It's health. It's the unknown variables, right? Like, is there going to be a monkeypox outbreak next? And now guys got to get vaccinated against monkeypox. And if you don't, you can't play. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what's coming next. But in a perfect world, if there's nothing that interferes with guys being able to play, I think the Nets are going to be a really good team this year. But to your point, to your question about the offense who implemented it, I would say, it's sure Igor put some stuff in there for sure. But I think Steve said he wanted to put some stuff in there that he wasn't able to because the team wasn't healthy. So more than anything, and even Kevin mentioned this too. I asked him if the Nets had a new offense, and he looked at me he goes, "Do we have a new offense?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, he basically said yes to we put some stuff in, but it's also some stuff that we're able to run because we have healthy bodies. So I guess that's your answer right there.
All right, appreciate it, Ruru. We'll catch you next time. Matt, go ahead, man. Question.
Hey, what's up, man? I'm a Bulls fan. Like, I just feel like, we were the number one.
I omitted you from the top six. My apologies, brother.
We were
Don't apologize. I have zero faith in the Chicago Bulls this year.
All right, they were number one seed there for a while last year.
No, you'll be okay. Go ahead. What's your question?
And then they got Andre Drummond.
Facts. Andre Drummond out here shooting threes now. Crazy.
Yeah, he's wet now. He's wet.
Rain man.
And then we got Lonzo Ball will be back at some point. I feel like we should probably be a top 8, right?
Yeah, you should be a playoff team. I just don't know that you guys have a player that can win you a series. And that's what it boils down to, right? You got Zach
DeMar DeRozan.
You guys kind of have the leftovers, unfortunately, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Leftovers are good the next day. They're good for 2 days, right? 3 days after the leftovers, they're not hitting the same, right? And I think that's what you guys have. I think that's good, right? You got Nikola Vucevic, Zach LaVine, and DeMar DeRozan. It sounds good. But all those players have flaws, right? None of them have made deep playoff runs. Do you guys have a player on the team who's been to the finals, who's made a championship?
Jalen Green.
I think you guys need other players on the team who've actually won championships. I don't know if you guys have any. I need to look at the roster.
No, DeMar DeRozan's playoff numbers are horrible.
Yeah, so I think that's where you guys are lacking right there. I think Lonzo's going to help. I think he's going to help on the perimeter for sure in terms of he's kind of like a 3-and-D wing who's also playing point guard. It's kind of interesting to watch him play. But I don't think you guys have – I don't think in games that matter, you guys will never have the best player on the floor. And I think that's where you guys lose these games.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah,
I have a question for you real quick before you go. Bulls, Cavs, who's got the best player on the floor?
Yeah, right. That's a good one. It could be DeMar DeRozan. I mean,
it could be, yeah. But Donovan Mitchell can get hot and give you 50. You know what I'm saying? Like that's tough. And then what's the better team between the Bulls and the Cavs, right? We're looking at Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley.
Oh yeah, Cavs are much improved. Cavs are probably a little better right now because they got the 2 nasty bigs, and then they got Mitchell and Garland. So.
Yeah, the Bulls are going to be running a trio of Patrick Williams, Derrick Jones Jr., and Javonte Green at power forward. So
yeah, Javonte Green, he looks much improved. Hopefully, what's his name? Williams, power forward. Hopefully he can improve, but
I hope so too, because the injury that he had was just so untimely because he actually started having some great games early on. All right, appreciate it. He lost connection. Got to bring him back up. Appreciate it, Matt. Hope you have a good day.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you too, man.
Hey, man. One thing can I say real quick about Kyrie Irving?
Yeah, go ahead, real quick.
Man, he's a 50-piece waiting to happen, man.
There you go.
I didn't know
which way that was gonna go. He said one thing I want to say.
Neither did I.
Irving. I was like, okay, let's either go far left or far
I love
right.
Kyrie Irving, man.
There you go.
All right,
love Kyrie.
Appreciate it, man. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a good round of applause here for our special guest today, Christian Winfield of the New York Daily News. I mean, he chose French fries and Batman for whatever reason, but
Wow. I
it's
didn't
all
know there
good.
was Batman slander. I didn't know there was French fries. I damn sure didn't know we had Michael Jackson slander in here. I'm like, what is going on right now?
Well, see, like the cool thing is like it's not slander if it's true.
Wow.
And unfortunately, it's
Wow.
true. Like, hey, we got it here all day because we can go on cheesecake and some other things too. But like, then the people start getting really
Nah,
upset.
man. The people need to revolt after your potato chip over French fries, brother. What's going
Yo,
on?
all day, every
Oh
day,
my
all
goodness.
day, every day.
Oh.
Never, there's never been a good like they're just barely adequate. They are vessels for
Wow.
nothing but salt and sauce. And like, if
And
you
what are
think
potato
about it,
chips? Vessels for
oh,
salt
but
and other flavors.
they have texture and
Oh,
flavor.
see, my
Like,
brother, we got to get you some quality fries. You know what? I'm gonna hold you down. When you come to Brooklyn, I'm gonna take you to a French fry spot. It's gonna knock your head off. I
all
got
right,
you.
I appreciate that.
hmm
You got any words or any place that you want them to follow you?
I mean, nah, you can follow me here. You can follow me on Instagram, just like, you know what I'm saying. Call your grandmother, you know what I'm saying? Call your moms, check in on the fam, you know what I'm saying? I lost my grandmother this summer, and my mother just got surgery yesterday, got a hip replacement surgery. And you never really know how long you got with people until time's up, right? So make sure you check in on your folks. Call the people that you love, call people that you think of in the moments that you think about them, right? I've had some moments this week where I thought about somebody, gave them a call, and then boom, that just happened to make their day, right? So just reach out to the loved ones, man. You never know how long you got with them. You never know what they're going through. You never know what what the things that you're going through can help with other people, right? Like the struggles that I'd go through with work. You know, I'm having a conversation with my little like 7-year-old niece. I'm telling her about work, and she goes, "You know what, Uncle? That's kind of like me in school right now." I'm like, "Oh wow," you know. So never know who giving a little bit of perspective to can help. So call your loved ones and call moms, call dad, call grandma, call your little niece and nephew. And that's all.
Look at that. You got great basketball for the Nets, great basketball for the NBA, and some great philosophy there and words that you should
Gang,
follow.
gang.
Yeah, you can't top that. So I'm gonna hit this button. Want to appreciate everybody who came through today's Hoop Spaces. We will see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. And we are here Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. or slightly after. Brought to you by Slam Goods. You can head over to slamgoods.com. It's hoodie season. I've told you this before. I'm going to tell you a quick 10-second story. I had a girlfriend once. She stole my hoodie, man, and I have never recovered. But I was able to go to slamgoods.com and go pick me up a hoodie. Use promo code HoopSpaces for 15% off your entire purchase. It's hoodie season. If she ain't wearing it, dudes, man, I've got nothing for you. Step your game up. All right, Christian's coming back up. You got anything on the outside? What you got going on?
Hey, I lagged out by accident. I heard you talking about getting hoodie stolen by ex-girlfriends, man. I can relate. I
Yeah.
got my hoodie stolen. I done have shorts stolen. You know what I'm saying? It's nasty out here, fellas. Protect the hoodie at all costs.
All cost. Hoop Spaces, appreciate you coming by, Christian. Everybody, slamgoods.com, 15%. Pick up the Slam Against the World hoodie. You'll save yourself like $12. Free money.
Copy.
Peace out, everybody.